Talking NFL wild card round picks against the spread. Once again, we just had Ole Miss, Miami. We might maybe mention something about that, although it wasn't a great game, so maybe not. It was close, but it still wasn't a greatly played game. But yeah, we're going to get into everything. Before we do, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. As always, I'm wearing something for the merch store. It is our August is a Gluttony Month t-shirt, so forget pride. Gluttony is the sin that you want to celebrate. You can get that at the merch store as well as everything else here. 50% off sale. You can change the colors of the shirt. You can get long sleeve, hoodie, infant onesie, women's tank top. We have our famous apron. We have mugs. We have our baseball cap, Battle of the Horses baseball cap. We have everything here. Like I said, 15% off. You can go to Amazon, buy my books. The most recent one is Jerks of the College Years. It's a 5 out of 5 star rating, so this might actually be the best book of all time. Also, we have a safety and a field goal, which is my first book, which is a top 5 topic book about the NFL. Just a lot of serious stuff, but some fun stuff too, like a lot of crazy stories that you may not have heard of about NFL players. And then please consider super chats, super stickers. Q1 is here. That is a disaster for advertising. So we need all the help we can get. Kevin Kovac helped us out with the $10 super chat on Tuesday. So please consider that if you want to keep the show going. But yeah, we are joined tonight by Evan Daniel. Evan, how are you? How was your week 18?
Week 18 was actually very good. Every year, week 18, it's very easy week to make money because the lines move, and if you take advantage of that line movement based on certain assumptions, week 18 is historically always a great year. Also, it's a week where a lot of futures close. Now, we talked about Carolina to miss the playoffs prop or bet throughout the season, where we were taking parlays of teams to miss the playoffs, and we hedged that. We hedged that weeks ago with Carolina 3-1. We hedged it trying to middle, but a little bit more heavy to Carolina plus the points, and then a little bit more action with Atlanta. So just a good week to overall close a very, very positive season. We went 4-1 in our picks, which I think we were on the right side of most of the games that we talked about. We talked about whether or not that Rams pick was good based on the outcome of the Seahawks game. Once the Niners lost, that Rams line went from 7 to 14. That was a no-brainer. They didn't show up until the second half, but still a no sweat prop. And of course, all the big favorites won. So no upsets, no crazy upsets with Jacksonville or New England or Denver or Green Bay. So the teams that we expected to not show up didn't show up. Those were easy. Take your money to the bank, go home. And I just mentioned to you before we went live, I'm really worried. And one of the things we'll talk about here is resume and strength of schedule. It's something that I look at every year before wild card weekend. We have Miami in the championship game in college, a 10th seed. And and you mentioned throughout the season that you like when some of these bad teams get in because it's free money to bet against. There's a spread for a reason, the great equalizer. It's not a free square to lay 10.5. We'll get to that game first, but there's some bad teams in the playoffs right now. And unfortunately, we're missing Mahomes, we're missing Burrow, we're missing Baltimore, we're missing Detroit. And instead, we're going to get a team like Chicago or Green Bay or Denver. And I'm really worried that one of these teams is going to end up getting the right matchup because that's what this entire playoffs is going to come down to the matchup. We'll talk about, Pittsburgh. If they win a game, can they win a second game? Or how could Seattle advance? Or how can Denver possibly advance? I fear, and the NFL fan in me, forget the person who's betting some of the games, the NFL fan in me is rooting for better games, better matchups. I'm really going to be annoyed if we see a Denver Green Bay Super Bowl, or dare I say from years ago, Denver Seattle type of Super Bowl, the 2-1 seeds. That's just not what I want to watch. So there's always angles we can take advantage of. But as football fans, I'm worried that we're going to get the Miami Hurricanes 10 seed in a national championship, and we're going to see a similar outcome going forward with the NFL.
It's Carson Beck you're talking about there, the national championship quarterback, Carson Beck.
Carson Beck, how many picks did he try to throw on the last drive? Was it 3, 4? I started losing. I stopped counting. He threw a pass behind Tony on the sideline. What an unbelievable attempt at a catch. But that's a terrible throw. Reminds me of Bo Nix. He also tried to throw the ball away and almost threw a pick. And Herb Street was like, just throw the ball 12 yards into the stands.
Yeah.
He threw the ball inches over the defender's hands. He is awful. It's funny you talk about a 7-year college player. At one point, he took like a 1 yard. It was going to be a quarterback keeper, and he took it for a 1 yard loss. There's another play where he had a clean pocket and he left the pocket trying to make a play, just I guess feeling pressure. He's so bad. Watching him is just so awful. I was waiting for him because I took a yes overtime prop at plus 775.
Mhm.
And I was worried he was just going to throw a pick on the last drive on like a third down in field goal range. So, but I don't know. Ole Miss looked like they were in prevent defense. They kind of allowed Miami to walk up the field. They're not realizing that the clock was really not a factor. And they allowed them to walk up the field. 3rd and 10, they're sitting back in a deep zone coverage. 2nd and 11, they're just sitting back in coverage. There's time on the clock. They just allowed Miami to walk up the field. That was disappointing. So I was kind of hoping for a yes overtime prop to hit. And I was just rooting against Miami. More so because I think it's funny if Ole Miss would have won without a coach. But I don't like watching Carson Beck play football. I did tell a friend earlier, I said, I cannot wait for this clown to get drafted. And he won't start, but at some point he'll find his way into a game like a Quinn Ewers. And I cannot wait to bet against Carson Beck at the NFL level.
Yeah, well, we've had the Brady Cook experience. As you texted me, you're like, well, you will remember where you were. You'll tell your grandkids where you were when Brady Cook was starting, and you were betting against him aggressively every time.
The gift that keeps on giving.
I know. I'm really hoping that he somehow finds a way to start next year. Obviously, the Jets
Start?
quarterback.
So.
No, I mean, if there are injuries and he gets to start again, like Chris Oludekon started the 2 games or 3 games for the Chiefs.
Who was the quarterback that came in for Chris Oludekon? I can't even pronounce his name.
Shane Buechele.
Shane Buechele.
Yeah.
If you showed me that name, I would have not known if it was a real person or not.
That was wild to see. I had no idea he was still in the NFL.
Shane Buechele.
Yeah.
I just remember Curtis Painter, guys like that.
Finger painter.
But you don't want to see these types of guys in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Wait till
Carson Wentz against Carson Beck. Yikes.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz is not
Carson Palmer have to come out of retirement.
Yeah. I'd honestly rather watch a guy like Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement than some of these other guys that it's just not football.
Yeah, although anyway. Riley Leonard actually looked pretty decent. And I kind of wonder why they go to Rivers. They had Riley Leonard.
Riley Leonard got hurt. The week
he
came in. He got a banged up knee.
Yeah, but he was cleared to play. He was active for that game.
The Colts like doing those things. Like they brought in Jeff Saturday to coach a game.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Can't forget about that. That's he won his first game though.
He did because he played against the Raiders.
Right. And then he lost every other game after that.
The Raiders figure once the Raiders are great. Once they get that first pick in the draft, they were fantastic.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
By the way,
oh my God. Yeah. They started trying.
I really thought about betting on the Raiders plus 5.5 because I really thought the game was going to be like 9-6.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it was trending towards. And then I thought better, like, am I really going to bet the Raiders with Aiden O'Connell, a team that's trying to lose? And then I kept thinking, why are the Chiefs favored? I remember what they did last year in week 18 in a game that didn't matter to them. Yeah. They lost 38-0 in that game. They just no-show.
Yeah.
And both teams were trying to lose. And then the Raiders clinched and they decided, hey, let's try to win. I have a good friend of mine who's a big Raider fan. And he was loving that game because he hates the Chiefs. He wanted to win anyway. And he wanted the number 1 pick. And he's like, why not? Let's just beat the Chiefs. So, well, of course you're going to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't care. The Chiefs want to lose.
Yeah, they were a no-show. That game almost had 3 scoregamis at the end. So it was 11-6, which would have been scoregami, and then it was 11-9, which would have been scoregami, and then it was 12-11, which would have been scoregami. And we just couldn't quite get there because 14-12 has happened before. So that was unfortunate. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like as soon as they clinched number 1 pick, they decided to try. The reason I took the Chiefs was I figured they wouldn't try. There was no guarantee the Giants would beat Dallas, which Giants did. Dallas. Talk about no-shows. Dallas didn't even play Dak Prescott in the second half. They played Joe Milton.
Well, they wanted to get him to 4,000 yards, and he took a seat.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That they're like, we don't care. We're just going to play Joe Milton and lose the game. Whereas the Giants are like, we need to win this game for some reason and ruin our draft position.
They do it every year.
Yeah, they could have had the number 1 pick.
Great. Week 17, 18. The Giants are one of the top teams in the league the last 4 years.
They could have the number 1 pick. They threw it away. I hope the Raiders use the number 1 pick on a kicker. They did with Janikowski back in the day. They have field goal problems. Just draft the kicker in the first round. That's the Al Davis motto, I guess. It was. I felt like I think week 18 was. It went pretty well for me. the one thing that surprised me Sunday morning, I was really angry because I had a chance uh, to potentially win the mini contest in the Westgate. Was that Houston benched Nico Collins as a healthy scratch. And I took Houston thinking that they would fight hard because, there's no guarantee Jacksonville would win. And also they would have the 5 seed, which is, more important, obviously, than, if you have the 6 seed, you have to go to Jacksonville or whatever. And they just sat Nico Collins. I'm like, oh, I wish they told me this 24 hours ago.
Yeah,
before I
I
submitted
had a
my
money
pick.
line parlay with some of the big favorites, and right before that game started, I realized what was about to happen. That they said, somebody on the broadcast said that they were going to have the score shown, and if Jacksonville was running away, they were going to bench everybody.
Yeah.
So I immediately played Colts 9.5, and I played Colts on the money line. And live, I played the Colts on the money line a few times, and I felt really good about it. And then
Yeah.
I hedged it because I had the game back and forth. And ultimately, I would have rather Houston +3. So I was really hoping that they would lose that game by 1 or 2. I also had a fun bet on a bunch of defenses to score. FanDuel parlay. It was the Jaguars, Texans, Denver, Philly. Who else was in there? Philly against Washington, New England, and then Derrick Henry to close. Six legs.
Right.
It was a $10 bet. Paid 458,000. Okay.
Right.
So normally what I do is I take these bets twice. I take 2 bets, $10 and $10, or 20 and 20. Because at some point, listen, you're throwing the money away, right? Immediately I take the bet, I actually mark in my spreadsheet the loss. So I don't really care. Jacksonville gets a touchdown. I'm all excited. Last play of the game, Houston gets the defensive touchdown. I'm thinking, oh, wow, 2 for 2. This is fantastic. FanDuel's offering me a cash out of $305. So the reason I usually like to take these bets twice is because now you can cash out one and then let the other one ride. So I'm like, I'm not cashing out for $300. What do I care? Early in the game, Denver gets a defensive score. Now
Right
I'm at
away.
3
Yeah.
down, and now we just need New England and Philly, and the cash out option goes to 1,700.
That's crazy.
So in hindsight, and I looked at this in kind of in the middle, maybe it was a little too late. What I should have done was cashed out and then played a $500 bet on the remaining 3 legs, which would have paid $130,000 at the time that I checked. But I'm thinking again, if Josh Johnson could just throw a pick 6, or if Quinn Ewers could just throw a pick 6, I'm riding Derrick Henry later for $500,000 on a $10 wager.
That's wild.
I never cashed out, and
You didn't do that at all? Okay.
no. But the lesson is very simple. You can play some of these, but play them multiple times. Play them $10, $20, $30, because if you get a bunch of them in, you get a cash out option. You can actually make some equity on some of these long shot plays. And it's like, why not? Why not give it a shot? Would you book me if I said to you I'm taking those 4 defenses or 5 defenses plus Henry, and I'm going to put up $10? You're going to put up 400,000. You would smile, laugh, and say no.
Right,
You're not going to put up 458,000 for the sake of winning $10. So if you're not going to put up 458, why not throw $10 on that play? You never know. You get a bunch of them early, you have some cash out opportunities. And we'll talk about that later with some medium-sized same game parlay player props with easy things. I'm not talking about playing 10 guys to get touchdowns. I'm talking about Lawrence to throw for 200 yards and Allen to throw for 175. But you start playing multitude of player props. You end up with 15 to 20 player props. Your $20 bets on FanDuel are going to pay a couple thousand. So it's not a bad opportunity to go into these games and start playing some cash outs as you get forwards through the games, because so many of these options, and I saw you guys talking a little bit last night about some of the negatively correlated stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not necessarily suggesting you do that, but theoretically you can play a quarterback over with a receiver under. Yeah. But if you play them in such a way where the quarterback yards are like 175, and maybe you take like a random receiver under 100 or under 90, something like that, maybe you get some sort of negative correlation that gives you a better payout. There are ways to really manipulate the odds in your favor. And again, with the intent of not necessarily winning a big payday, but possibly getting some equity and some cash out value as you go through the weekend.
Yeah, I did want to investigate that. Just look at how that's fared in the past. I was offering Tom a 5 million to 1 odds on Friday. I don't know if you got to hear a Friday show, but I said if you bet me $10, I'll give you my house if you win. Did you hear what that was about?
No.
He was like yeah, he's like Drake may can throw an interception. This he's playing a bad team, but he can throw an interception. He's like he can throw an interception against the Jets. I'm like, no, he can't throw an interception against the Jets. It's not possible. He's like, what do you mean? It's certainly possible. I'm like,
I would have taken. I would have taken that. I would have
so I,
taken. I would have put up a dollar for 5 million.
so that he throw an interception against the Jets.
Yeah.
I was like, what's gonna happen is like the ball's gonna pop in the air. A bird of prey is gonna snatch the ball, fly 300 miles north, drop the ball into the arms of or south, drop the ball into the arms of a Jets player. That's how he's gonna get the interception in week 18. And then like,
five
he just
million
kept
to
going,
one. That's funny.
yeah, 5 million to 1. Yeah. That's so like that's gonna happen. I don't know. It's like maybe a wormhole opens up and like teleports to the wall. Uh, so he didn't get it until the end. He's like, oh my god. It's like I met Josh Allen, not Drake May. So that was funny.
There's another comment there. So first of all, let me explain again. When I take the SGPs this weekend with all the player prop yards and whatnot, then yes, the intent is to take it multiple times for a cash out. On the touchdown prop with the big line favorites, I forgot to take it twice. I had it
Oh,
only
okay.
once. That's why I didn't cash out. That's why I said in hindsight, when I was thinking as the line is dropping, right? Because this happened in the second quarter when the third hit. At halftime, when I had time to look, the cash out was down to about 1,500. And my thought process was, okay, I can cash out now, put $1,000 in my pocket, and bet $500 on what I would never bet. I'm not going to bet $500 on 3 defensive scores, or in that case, it was 2 defensive scores plus Henry. And that payout for 500 was about 130,000. But I would have been eliminating my opportunity for the 458,000. Had I had to bet twice, 100% I'm cashing out. Take my 1,700. Probably not going to win this bet anyway.
Hmm.
But I'm not going to cash out a $1,500. Again, I wasn't thinking. I didn't do it in time. By the time I was really thinking I should do this and bet 500, the line just kept dropping. I'm not going to throw away an opportunity for a $458,000 payday for the sake of getting a $1,200 profit margin. I mean, unfortunately, it's just not worth it to me. And I don't think it'd be worth it for most people. You're betting $10. Your risk is $10. Now, at that particular moment, the fact that I could have cashed out for 1,000, my risk becomes 1,000 and my equity becomes 1,000. So shouldn't make you angry. But yes, that's the reason why instead of, let's say you're going to bet $20 on something fun and stupid, don't bet 20, bet 10 and 10. This way you can cash out and get some profit and then ride the high payday potential, still have something alive down the road with that intent. I would have felt if I took 1,500 and the Josh Johnson would have thrown a pick six or Quinn Ewers throws a pick six, I'm feeling really stupid going into the Sunday night game with Henry, who I had bet the previous week to get 4 touchdowns. Actually, I bet him to get 5 touchdowns. He got 4. I bet him to get 2, 3, 4, and 5 as 2 at a time, 2 and 3, 3 and I bet the 4. As you get the third, I bet the 5th. So, and I would have obviously I would have hedged at some point. Like I was never going to let $250,000 ride for a Henry touchdown. That's just dumb.
Let it ride.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm not that crazy. I'm not gonna let it ride for that amount of money.
Right.
Although there are a lot of people who played Circa Grandissimo who had an opportunity to hedge or guarantee profits, and they all bought in for 100,000. And when the idea of hedging came up to them, most of them laughed. It's like, yeah. Like,
well, they're the ones who did well in the poker tournaments. So
yeah, $100,000 to those people is literally $20 to us.
right.
Maybe $100 to us. Maybe not 20. So, yeah, it was a mistake, but that's how you learn, right? And that's where these bets become profitable. That if you take them in the long run, you can get a bunch that can hit early, and then you have the cash out equity. And we'll do that. We'll talk about that a lot later when it comes to player props, because I did it last year, and I started with the double bet cash out because last year I ended up losing on Baker Mayfield to get to 200 yards, and he played, if you remember, in the Monday night game, and I knew that I had a great bet. But I also knew that he might not get the ball back at the end of that game. And they were offering – no, sorry, that was the Sunday night game. Not the Monday night game.
Yeah, it was against Washington Sunday night. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that Washington had the ball and could have ran out the clock meant that Baker wouldn't have gotten the ball back. And I thought that they would run out the clock. But the cash out option that I was given at that time, and I don't want to go into too much detail. I remember it vividly, but it's not worth it. The point is, it was an unfair cash out. And I said, even though they were offering me a few $1,000s, I thought it was unfair to the total. And I didn't want to throw away the opportunity to get the total. But I should have had the bet twice, and I could have cashed out one of them and made a profit and let the other one ride. So when we talk about SGPs later, or when we talk about this more so for later games in the Super Bowl, if there's a bet you like, split it in half, take it twice so that you can cash out if you're getting a good, nice profit margin and then letting your ticket ride to the end with house money.
It's good. It's good advice. I like that actually, and then consider that, but it makes sense. Just the perfect season. Yes. They actually, I think it was the Sunday night broadcast, the NBC broadcast. It may have been someone else. They brought up a graphic. It said, guess the quarterback. And like, it was like
I saw that.
It was like 4,300 yards, 34 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I'm like guessing this. I'm like, who had 0 interceptions this year? And then it's like every quarterback playing the Jets.
Well, the Jets had continuity on the offensive line. They started the same offensive line, I think, every week.
It's really impressive. It's great. Yep. It's absolutely great. No, look, their tackles are really good. I was actually thinking about it today, and like kind of like rank who the best situations are for head coaching coming in. If the Jets had a vacancy at head coach, like they have the number 2 pick. They have
let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
The owner is Woody Johnson. And the Jets are still the Jets.
That's true. But no, they look, they do have the number 2 pick. They have 2 great tackles. They have they have Wilson, they have Breece Hall. Their interior is not bad either. Like they have a foundation. Their defense sucks, but like you get your quarterback at 2, you get a number 2 receiver, like your offense is set. And then your defense is a huge work in progress. But like I don't think it would be that bad. But you're right about Woody Johnson. Considered that. Yeah, that's certainly true. Yeah.
Go find me a Jet fan that's excited about the future of this team.
Andy, you want to chime in there? Woody, I like the players had in rating Johnson. I forgot about that. Well, it's better than Al Davis's just guy drafted.
Dante Moore may stay in school specifically to avoid going to the Jets.
That's true. Ty Simpson declared, so he might be the number 2 pick if Moore returns.
Mac Jones.
Yeah, I don't not a fan. Mendoza, I think, is like the only guy you can take safely, I think. So, all right, you want to get into the games for week 19? We have Rams at the Panthers. Rams were -10 on the advanced line. They were -9.5, and now they're 10.5. It's remained 10.5 past 24, 48 hours. Hey, Dom, how's it going? So yeah, I said this yesterday. I love the Rams in the spot. I think this line's too low. I made this line 14. I think there's a huge discrepancy between these two teams. The Panthers, as we discussed all year, have gotten fraudulent wins, and they have a negative 69-point differential. They are the worst playoff team I've ever seen covering the NFL. I've been covering the NFL since 1999. You know, I mean, some people listening may have been watching it longer and such, and I was watching it beforehand too. But I can't remember a team this bad in the playoffs, and they really shouldn't have been there. They had a play-in game against Tampa, they lost. Like it's such a joke that they're in. So we have that. We have a Rams team that lost to this Panthers team. I think if they had beaten the Panthers earlier in the year, like if they had the same result the Seahawks had, 27-10, maybe they come in overconfident or something. But they did lose to this team, so I think that they're going to pay more attention to them for sure. And then you have Bryce Young making his first start. Quarterbacks making their first start in the playoffs since dating back to 2002. They are 19-40-1 against the spread and 19-41 straight up. So that's not a good sign for Bryce Young here. Even some of the greats didn't cover. Like Drew Brees didn't cover his first game. Aaron Rodgers didn't cover his first game. I'm pretty sure Ben Roethlisberger didn't cover his first game. Like a lot of these, Phillip Rivers didn't cover his first game. Like a lot of these Hall of Fame / Hall of Fame adjacent quarterbacks have not covered the first game. Mahomes did, and maybe Drake May will equate to that. We'll see. But Bryce Young obviously just not nearly as good as some of those other guys. Like not even close. So Bryce Young against a Rams defense gets a lot of pressure on the quarterback. So I think the Rams just have a big edge in this game, and against a Panther team that they played 3 teams in Group A this year. My Group A, sure they beat the Rams. They lost to Seattle 27-10 at home, and they lost to Buffalo at home 40-9. So I think this game is going to be like those other two, whereas the Rams win by 2 touchdowns, maybe 3 touchdowns, and this is a laugher to start the playoffs. So how do you feel about this game?
Well, so let's take a step back for every game because now we get a little bit more time to dig in. So what I like to do, especially divisional round, and this is something that's worked out very, very well in recent memory, is really is going through strength of schedule and quality games played, kind of to see who's battle tested, who's not.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like to do that. Now the problem this year, kind of spoiler alert, is that as we've said most of the season, there's a lot of teams that are quote unquote overrated, even if teams are better than what we kind of perceive. Let's like throw out the Bears, Patriots. We know their schedules have been easy. We know that the Niners, we know they've beaten up on a lot of bad teams. The problem is a lot of teams fall into that category. So there's not going to be a lot of instances where you're talking about team A versus team B that the strength of schedule really matters that much because everybody is pretty much mediocre. So many teams are mediocre. The power ratings are so close and the field is absolutely wide open like I've never seen. And that's what makes me scared that we're going to get a really weird path and it's all going to come down to matchups. And I really hope we don't get Denver against Green Bay, something like that, right? So for every game, I want to break down the resume kind of for each team. Then, of course, the matchup within the game, the key factor that we were very, very good on last year. Even if we got the game wrong, if we said the game would come down to, the pass protection or red zone or third downs or whatever. So I think we were pretty much on the money as far as both sides for a key factor. And then I like to always look at my power rating before I make a pick. And yes, I mentioned to you guys last night before you guys signed off, weather could be a factor in in almost every game. Weather, these are all outdoor games and weather could play a very big part of it. So trying to dive right in here. So resume for these two teams. Rams, one of the teams that are not in that mix, were 7-4 this year against what I deem above average. I kind of go through the schedule each week. So for example, if you played Cincinnati with Burrow, that's a better win than obviously Cincinnati without. If you played against the Vikings with Brosmer, that's even though he's not that much worse than McCarthy, there's still obviously a difference in power rating. So just to say one team played the Vikings or one team may have played the Bengals, it doesn't necessarily mean they play them in the same type of situation. Mm-hmm. So I look at the Rams as a 7-4 team with 8 quality games. I give them that extra quality game because that loss to Seattle was, let's just call it fluky. So you got to give them credit there. Now Carolina, to their credit, is 6-5 with 5 quality games. So Carolina beat some of the good teams in the league, as we know. They beat the Packers. They beat Dallas, who's not a good team, but Dallas is right there around average. And, of course, they beat the Rams, although I don't know if they beat the Rams, more the Rams beat themselves. So we know that Carolina is actually, more so than some other teams, a little bit more battle-tested, okay? Now, the Rams are just much more battle-tested. You look through the Rams' schedule, I mean, the first game that they lost to the Niners doesn't really count. That was Mac Jones. But for the most part, they played good teams throughout the season. They played Seattle in Seattle in one of those games. They played Seattle twice. Who's else on the Rams schedule? The Rams played the Eagles. That was that crazy game that we lost somehow on a block kick. They dominated Detroit. They dominated Jacksonville, although that's overseas. You can make a case that it doesn't count. They dominated Tampa Bay. So they had a much more balanced or better schedule overall. Now it's easy to say the Rams are going to kill them. We know that. I'm picking the same thing. The Rams are going to kill them. The matchup, everything points towards the Rams. They're the number 1 yards per play offense. They're number 6 rushing. They're number 5 passing. Carolina defense ranks in the 20s. This is a 5-12 type of team. They absolutely don't belong. They've gotten lucky in a lot of these games. Teams don't take them seriously. They're number 26 overall on offense. And obviously, we know going into that game, there was a lot of fluky things that took place in that game. Now, to give them credit, Carolina, they converted 2 fourth downs for long touchdowns. That's not that's it's not repeatable. It's not something to handicap, but that shows that they are capable. It's Bryce Young, who I think is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. He did, to his credit, make some plays in that game. But they lost that game because Stafford threw a pick in the end zone. Stafford threw a pick six, and then when they were about to tie, Stafford was loose with the ball, and he took a strip sack and fumbled, and the game was over. I absolutely do not anticipate any of that happening again. Now, key factor, of course, we mentioned the turnovers. You can't predict turnovers, but the third downs, and this is what I've said to you so many times, and this is the flaw of the Rams and what could hold them back from making a Super Bowl run. They are ranked in the 20s. However you grade third downs, they are low, below average on third down conversions. Now, I don't have the exact statistics because it's not necessarily measured by third and short versus third and medium, but I see it all the time, and I point it out to you because I want it to become repetitive, that you see me saying it. 3rd and 2, 4th and 2, they repeatedly run the ball into the line of scrimmage. I do not think it'll be a problem this game. I think they're going to come out firing. I know the weather is calling for rain. I still think they're going to come out firing. I think they're going to come out throwing the ball downfield. I think Stafford wants to make amends for the game he had in Carolina week 13. But going forward, it's something to really pay attention to. Third down conversions for the Rams, specifically third and short, 4th and short, has been a problem for them all year. Now, power rating, you mentioned you make the line 14. I make the line 9.5. I think the number is on the money. But because of the fact that I think this team is ultra focused and they lost in this venue 6 weeks ago, I think they come out here, throw the ball downfield. I think they're putting up 30 plus points, rain or shine. I'm looking at 34-10, 34-17 at most. I would be very surprised if Carolina had a run game in this game. Rams are very good against the run. I would be very surprised if they allowed Bryce Young to complete some of those long passes. He throws the ball downfield on 3rd and short or 4th and short because he'll take some shots. But for the most part, he's throwing the ball 5 yards per attempt. I don't think the Rams are going to give up much. I think this game is going to be ugly. And this is what I'm afraid of when we said we don't want to see the Panthers in the playoffs, is games like this. This is not the Seahawks with Marshawn Lynch a couple of years ago. This is not an 8-8 Saints team. This is a 5-12 Panther team that does not belong. I think this game is a 3-touchdown game. I don't see any way, barring special teams wackiness, fluke fumbles, fluke picks. Which, if you're betting if you're betting heavy on the Rams, that rain may come into play. So be careful. But otherwise, I think this is an absolute rout. Now, to bet this, there's some money line parlays you can use, maybe some teasers you can use. But I think what we're going to look at here is Stafford yards live. If they're behind for some reason early, I love the Stafford yards. But I think they're going to keep throwing. And Puka is somebody who gets a ton of attention. I think Puka goes for over 100. I think Stafford goes for 275 plus. I think those are two players we can key in on. And if they have a lead, I like Kyron Williams rush yards late in the second half, third quarter, maybe some Corum in the fourth quarter. But I don't see how this game is close, barring miracles on the Carolina side.
I actually like when teams are ahead and you could bet the passing yards of the quarterback who's ahead.
Yep, because they lower it.
Yeah, exactly. You get a great deal, assuming it's not like a blowout. But if it's like 10-point lead or something, 14-point lead, like they'll keep throwing. And the
27-17, he's going to keep throwing.
Right. The line is so short. It's like you have like 180 yards at halftime, and that line would be like 280 or 290. I'm like, that just seems like so off. So, that's something we've done as well. We had a question last night from someone, or at least a concern, where someone was like, what do you think about like the fact that the double-digit underdogs have all covered so far in the playoffs? Granted, there's only been 2. With the Redskins covering against the Bucks, the Redskins covering against the Bucks, and the Marshawn Lynch game against the Saints. I was exactly. That's what I was saying. Like, yeah, you can't base anything off of that. For all we know, the next 5 times the favorite covers, and then people are like, well, you have to take the favorite here because they're 5-2 now. Like, it's such a small sample size. I think you have to take it on a case by case basis. I don't think you could. You can't just be like, oh, this happened, so it must happen again. Like that doesn't work.
Well, let me ask you, how many of those 2 were a rematch of a team that previously lost?
Well, the Saints Seahawks was a rematch, and but the Saints won. The Saints won against Seattle 34-19.
Okay, well, that if the Rams had won that game 34-10,
Yeah.
I would be very cautious
Yes.
because
Agree.
they would assume they're going to win again.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they lost flips that whole script.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Andy has a comment that the Rams are less than 40% on third down. I would love for someone to find me a stat on anything third and 1, 2, or 3. I cannot find it. All I can tell you is that every single time I watch it, I text you and say, Ram short yardage.
They did convert a few of them against Arizona, albeit against Arizona. So let's take that with a grain of salt. But no, what was it? The Buccaneers, Redskins. I was trying to see if that was a rematch because that was the first round playoff game, and that was the first meeting against Taylor Heineke. So it was close. They're favored by 10. They won by 8. So that was not like the Seattle game. That was a blowout. There was a rematch, I should say. I think that those third down conversions you're talking about, it almost feels like they're better in like 3rd and 5 than 3rd and 1.
100%. Because they're throwing to Puka and Devontae.
Right. It's like why keep running? Like pretend it's 3rd and 5.
Right.
That's the key. That's the key there. Yeah, you rarely see double-digit lines in the playoffs. Home favorites, road favorites, at least. Those lousy teams getting double digits are probably playing de facto playoff games final month of regular season. Yeah,
exactly. And instead, it's been Carolina, who just lost by 17 at home to Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
who's not a good football team.
Yeah.
Who, again, it really comes down to the fact that this is a rematch, and I think that's so important.
Mm-hmm. Seahawks Saints was different though. Narrative was 7-9 Seahawks are the worst playoff team ever. Then, if I remember correctly, yeah, they did get smoked in Chicago in the next round. That team had Matt Hasselbeck and Marshawn Lynch and Pete Carroll coaching. Like, if you look back at like Marshawn Lynch was not the Marshawn Lynch everyone knows back then. Like he became the household name because of that run, and then eventually people became to know him as one of the best running backs in the NFL. And then like Pete Carroll didn't really have success until then, but then he had a lot of success later. So that team, I think if you look back, you're like, oh, they actually weren't that bad. I don't know why they were 7-9, but they certainly weren't. They're not better than, or they were better. They're not worse than this Carolina team, I should say. Yeah, like Tebow New England. Yeah, exactly. That's what happened. Like Tebow beat the Steelers and then he got smoked. So if somehow Carolina wins this game, just bet the farm against them in the next round. They're probably going to get destroyed. So
yeah, but you're not betting the farm because I'm not going crazy on this game. I had a lot more action on the Rams money line, the Jacksonville money line, New England money line, and who was the other money line we took last week? Denver. I had a lot of risk on those 4 teams to win.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to have nearly that amount on this game. I went crazy on those games last week because it was very obvious, sorry, Andy, that the Chargers were just not going to try. You knew they weren't going to try.
The Broncos almost threw it away, though. The Broncos almost threw that game away, though.
Yeah, these teams were not going to show up to play. There was not a game script and an effort to play in those games. At least Carolina now is game planning to win, and the great equalizer of spreads. There's going to be rain, or there could be rain, there could be weather, and if somebody gets knocked out with a concussion, I have no desire to have $1 on Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not betting Jimmy Garoppolo to cover 10.5-point line. And I also, obviously, this game really is about Stafford because he played so poorly. If he does not win the MVP, it's because of that game. That's the game that knocked them from potentially being. I know the Seattle game obviously mattered when they lost in Seattle, but theoretically, that Rams game put that Seattle game as a divisional winning game. And throughout the season, everyone was telling me Josh Allen can't win the MVP because he's not going to win the division. Well, Stafford, I don't know if he's going to win the MVP, but if he doesn't, I'm pointing to that game right there. That was a bad game. He cost them the game. So his presence is what really matters. If he's not there, all bets are off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think he's the favorite to win MVP now, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he is also.
Yeah.
Because he had a very good game last week.
He did, but like so did Drake May. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but
And talk
he
about stat padding. Drake May was putting up 4 touchdowns against the Jets and Dolphins.
yeah, he was May
By the
was
way,
minus
neither of those
550.
guys are the MVP. Josh Allen's the MVP.
Yeah,
Anyone who disagrees with that's not watching the games.
that's certainly true.
The
Yeah.
Buffalo without Josh Allen is a 4-win football team.
Yeah, if that. It's they really had nothing else going for them.
The Rams probably are a playoff contender with McVay and that defense and those weapons. There's no reason why they can't make the playoffs.
Who's the most average quarterback in the NFL right now? I'm saying that if you replace Stafford with that average quarterback, or if you place Josh Allen with that average quarterback, like who would
average quarterback in the NFL right now?
Who would that even be?
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones, pre-injury, I guess.
I mean, Jordan Love.
Jordan. Oh yeah, okay, that's a good name.
Yeah, I happen to think Jordan Love's very average quarterback.
Okay, if you
I'm
put
in the minority there, but I would take 15 quarterbacks ahead of Jordan Love right now.
If you put Jordan Love on the Rams, I think they are still a playoff team.
Well, they'd be better than the Packers if you swap Love and Stafford.
Yeah.
Maybe the Packers are a little better, but they would definitely be a playoff team.
Yeah, CJ.
I don't know if Buffalo's a playoff team with Jordan Love a quarterback. Maybe.
I don't think so. I'd be surprised if they were. If you replace Goff with Stafford, you win a Super Bowl. it's true. So yeah, we know that already. So yeah, CJ Stroud would have been another good one. Okay, let's get to the next game, I guess. Although I just have to reinforce that I don't know if you had any action on the Broncos spread. I did. And I was like, I couldn't watch it at the end. The Broncos, they gave up 2 touchdowns.
Oh yeah. No, I didn't have action on the spread. No.
I did. They called them back. One was by penalty. One was by replay review. I'm like, oh my God. I after that second one, I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. I can't watch this anymore. So I came out of the bathroom and they're like, oh, Broncos win 16-3. I'm like, or 19-3 or whatever it was. I guess. Thank you.
Oh, I think I told you I predicted the score. I had 23-9 as my score.
Yeah.
And when they scored, before it was called back, I said, well, I was pretty close. That's why I said I wasn't betting the spread in that game.
Yeah.
19-9, 23-9, same thing.
Yeah, the Broncos aren't playing this week, so we can touch on them real quick. Like that was yet another uninspiring performance by the Broncos. You can say, okay, maybe they didn't take the Chargers very seriously because they're playing the backups. Fine, but like we saw it the last week against the Chiefs, like they struggled to beat the Chiefs with the Ludicon, a quarterback. And they struggled to beat the Raiders twice, or maybe really once, but second time it got close at the end. They struggled
Are they
the
worst Jets. 1 seed you've ever seen?
Yeah, I said this yesterday. Well, no, I think it was Tuesday. Someone came on the comments and said, "What's your hot take for the playoffs?" I'm like, I don't like. I'm like, here's one. I think whoever goes into Denver in round 2 wins. Even if it's the Steelers. I think whoever goes in Denver wins.
I think that's the only team I have that would lose in Denver.
Maybe I probably would pick Denver to win too, but I had to give a hot take, whatever that is. So I think Denver. I think Denver is. How about this for a hot take? Except for the Steelers, and Panthers, the Broncos are the worst team in the playoffs. Is that crazy? I mean, maybe
based on my power ratings.
Packers and Bears would give them a run for their money, of course, but
I have the Broncos ahead of the Packers, Bears, and Steelers. And Panthers.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I think like right next to the Packers and Bears.
Yep, that's exactly where I have them. Yeah. Just ahead of the Packers and Bears. Let's get to the Packers and Bears.
Let's do it. What a great segue there. Packers favored by 1 or 1.5. The Bears were favored earlier in the week, but the Packers were favored on the advanced spread. So this is bounced either way. Nothing really on the injury report I was seeing, which is out now. So this is another instance where you have a quarterback making his first start. Caleb Williams, obviously. Again, I'll repeat the stat. Quarterbacks making the first start in the playoffs. They're 19-40-1 against the spread and 19-41 straight up, which is pretty crazy how bad that is. So from one angle, I could see the Packers being the side. On the other hand, the Packers have not been the same since losing Micah Parsons. I don't trust Jordan Love. If you told me Malik Willis was starting, I'm all in on the Packers here. But no, I have issues backing this Packers team. They lost 4 in a row. Entering the playoffs is definitely not a good sign. But then again, the Bears lost 2 in a row too. Their defense was awful against the Niners in Week 17, and then they were just a no-show against the Lions until like the fourth quarter. But they ended up losing anyway, which was really surprising. I guess like maybe they didn't expect the Lions to play hard or something, given that the Lions lost to the Vikings. But the Lions were clearly the better team against the Bears, like not even close. So I don't know how you back either team here. This is the toughest game to handicap for me on this week's slate. I think I'm settling in on like no units on the Packers, but if I change my mind later, I wouldn't be surprised. How do you feel about this game?
Well, I do agree with you that I think it's the hardest game on the board, and I certainly have gone back and forth. So I went through my process. Resume: Green Bay was 6-4 against good teams with 6 quality games. Bears only 5 quality wins on the season. 6 of the Bears wins were just flat out fluke. Think Giants game, fluke. Right. Redskins game. It was raining at the end of that game, and Daniels fumbled the snap or fumbled an exchange where they're literally running out the clock. Just the Cincinnati game, I guess, call it would have been fluky for Cincinnati to win given the onside kick, but just some wild games. But here's the thing with the Bears, and we've said this before a couple of times. They've become an above average team. They've gotten better throughout the season, and I think a lot of that is offensive line continuity. A lot of that obviously is coaching with Ben Jay getting Caleb better. The biggest change this year between Caleb Williams this year to last year is his ability to escape pressure. Last year, he was taking a lot of sacks. This year, he's running a lot. Cue up the ladders for Caleb Williams. If the team is behind, we like Caleb Williams rushing. Mm-hmm. So, but the Bears, you mentioned this, matchup-wise, they're so weak defensively. I mean, the Niners' offense is great when they play against crappy defenses, like the Colts late in the season, like Tennessee, like the Bears. I went back and I watched some of the first game and then all of the second game that these two teams played. Love was okay in game 1. He was okay. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. He was okay. And then in game 2, same idea before he was concussed. You said this. If this were Willis, I actually would really like Green Bay. I think it's a small sample size from this year and then what we saw early in the season last year. Malik Willis has been excellent in these games with LaFleur. Maybe it's the coach. Maybe he's better than what we thought from his previous when he started in the league. But in relief in game 2, he was 9 for 11 passing. He had 11 yards per attempt. That's a huge number. That's double your friend Bryce Young. He also adds a running element that Jordan Love does not have. He added 44 rush yards on 10 carries. So Love, he throws those fadeaway passes that some of these announcers get giddy over, which makes no sense. Jordan Love averages about 225 yards a game in the playoffs and has 5 interceptions in a couple of playoff games. He's not a guy that I trust. Also, it's his first game back from a concussion, which you never like to see. It's always iffy when you watch these quarterbacks first game back. Are they ready to play? Are they not ready to play? So I don't trust Jordan Love. Now, if it's not Willis, which we don't anticipate it being Willis, we anticipate Jordan Love being back. Let's look to the other side. Caleb Williams has been just absolutely erratic. His accuracy is horrible. He had a guy wide open to potentially win that Niner game. They ended up settling for a field goal because he missed the throw. And he's been missing throws. In the first game against Green Bay, that was a horrendous pick in the end zone that he threw to lose the game. But then in game 2, he had an absolutely gorgeous throw in overtime, 60-yard or 40, whatever it was, 45, 50-yard bomb that was placed picture perfect in DJ Moore's hands for a game-winning touchdown. But before that game-winning touchdown, if you go back and watch the fourth quarter drive when they were down by 10, he was horrendous in that drive. They completely botched that drive. He took a sack on 3rd and 20 that was bailed out on a defensive holding call. I think it was a defensive illegal contact or holding that gave them an automatic first down. They ended up getting into the goal line, and he was terrible on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down before the defense broke down, and he made a nice throw into the back of the end zone for a score. I'm sorry, that was the game-tying score. They botched the drive on the previous drive, and they ended up kicking a field goal at the 2-minute warning, which forced them to kick an onside kick. And then, of course, they got the onside kick, and that's when they got to the goal line situation. So Williams has just been absolutely erratic. He's not somebody that I can trust. So you talk about picking this game, what's the key factor? Well, the Bears, number 1 in the league, plus 1.3 margin for turnovers. Green Bay's basically even. I mean, are we going to come down here and sit? Well, we're gonna pick this game based on who's going to turn the ball over more or less. That's just not the way I handicap the game. So to me, this is an absolute pick 'em. It's an absolute coin flip. I believe that the Bears should have been favored. I think these teams are basically equal. Maybe Green Bay is slightly like a half a point better, but you talk about the game being on the road in Chicago, the crowd's going to be fired up. I would make the Bears a slight favorite. I have the Bears winning by 1. I also look back when you looked at the last game they played, both teams screwed up multiple 4th and short situations. In overtime, the Packers had a 4th and 1 in plus territory and botched the snap. Earlier in the game, the Bears had a 4th and goal situation. I think it was a 4th and goal at the 1 or 2, and they took a snap to Monangai and went over his head. So I think obviously 3rd and 4th downs, red zone will be a very big factor in converting. And Green Bay, by the way, has been number 2 on the season converting 3rd downs. Bears pretty good too. Red zone, they're both about equal. So the key factor for me is really just who's going to turn the ball over, who's going to protect the ball more. In that case, even though Williams is erratic, I trust Williams to be able to run for some first downs more so than I trust Jordan Love. And that's why I would potentially pick the Bears to win this game 24-23. Also, snow. If it's snowing, that turns it more into a run game. That I think favors the Bears because I think their offensive line is better. I don't like their defensive line. I don't like their defense at all. But I do think they can control the ball, control the line of scrimmage. Caleb running as well with snow on the ground and making it a little bit harder to throw the ball downfield for receivers to get their footing going downfield. I think that favors a guy like Loveland who can get some 10, 15-yard passes over the middle with Ben Johnson cooking up some plays for the tight end. Williams has been good throwing on the run. He's not accurate throwing it from a pocket, from a clean pocket. But when he moves around, he's been great. So I lean very slightly to the Bears. I do not think there's an angle to bet this game. I like the team that's behind from a betting perspective. Give me 3.5, 4.5, 7.5 points on a live line. If Bears are down, like I said, I like Caleb rushing. I don't like any Green Bay props if they're behind. If Green Bay is behind, maybe I play Green Bay a little bit, getting a better number. Or you can go into this game with a teaser. If you're getting the Bears +1 or +1.5 and you turn it into a 7, 7.5, that might not be a bad play. I see there you go, Chargers, Houston. Okay, so I would take the same thing here with some of these teams that are +1, +1.5. So I lean to the Bears, but if you're betting this game, you're going to hate somebody.
That's true. Can't make an eagle with the $4.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. Can't make an eagle. So yeah, he's asking 6-point teaser, Chargers and Houston.
We'll get to it.
Well, yeah, just because he gave us a super sticker, wanted to answer his question. So Chargers, if you tease that up from 3.5 to 9.5, you only get 6 and 7 as your key numbers. I think try with the teaser, you want to get 3 key numbers. You want to get 3, 6, and 7. So if hypothetically, if the Chargers were +2.5, teasing them up to 8.5 would be great.
But you can't tease Houston from -3 to +3.
Yeah, you're going through 0
because that's like a 2-point teaser.
Right. Yeah, you're going through 0, which 0 is impossible. It's extremely unlikely in the regular season, but it's impossible in the playoffs. So, yeah, I would not tease Houston. I think Pittsburgh is the better tease candidate in that game, going from 3 to 9. But even still, like three is typically something you don't want to tease because you're already getting the 3. Like the point of a teaser is to get all the key numbers. So like if they're, again, hypothetically, if they're +2.5, then you'll be like, oh, I wish I could get the 3, but that's a way to get the 3. But you already have the 3 with Pittsburgh and also the Chargers here in this example.
Exactly. If you like the 6-point teaser with the Chargers, I would look towards the Bears or some of the other teams that are 1.5, 1-point dogs, where you're getting a pick'em price and you're getting more than a touchdown. Yeah. But I will caution you, depending on where you shop. Like FanDuel, for example, you can't play 6-point teasers on FanDuel or DraftKings. I have an offshore account that lets me play 6-point teasers at -10. It's very, very rare. Most places will give you -20.
Yeah.
I would not play anything worse than -120 on a 6-point teaser. It's not worth it. The math doesn't work. You're better off waiting for a live line or playing some sort of alt line where you can buy some points, maybe throwing the Rams on the money line and get some alternate numbers on Chargers or Houston and take it from there. But if you're laying $1.35 on a 6-point teaser and crossing 0, you're betting into a bookie that's saying thank you.
Yeah. I think the two 6 point teaser you want this week is Bears plus 1.5 and Jaguars plus 1.5 right now.
Correct.
So or if you think the Bears are close as favorites and you get the Packers at plus 1.5, then do it that way. Bookmaker, by the way, which I talk about on the site a lot, they also give plus 6 minus 120. So yeah, that the math makes sense there, but minus 130 or higher, just don't do that. It's just not worth it. So yeah, that's how I would approach that. So Can't Make It Equal, thank you so much for the super sticker. Andy's saying, how would you rate Ben Johnson compared to LaFleur, given BJ's limited sample size?
I don't like LaFleur in the playoff spot. I just think too much back to when they were down by 8 and he kicked the field goal at the 8-yard line. And to me, I understand why he did it. I know it's not an erratic decision. I just thought it was a stupid decision. And I keep thinking about that. I get it. It's a long time ago. It was a different situation, but I just can't get that out of my head. I like Ben Johnson a lot better than I like LaFleur. Now, I also think, I think it was Andy who made the comment earlier about Bears' confidence. As they've won these games that they shouldn't have won, they've grown in confidence dramatically. They've grown in confidence to a point where they believe they're going to win these games when they're down by a score late, and that's super important. So had they not won any, if they wouldn't have been in the playoffs, had they lost to the Giants and the Raiders on a blocked field goal and the Redskins on a botched handoff exchange. So this team is probably an 8 or 9 win team, masquerading as a 12-win division winner, but their confidence is that of a 12-win team, and they're now playing a team that's falling apart with a quarterback that I don't trust at all. But if he gets hurt and it's Malik Willis, and I'm getting 3.5 on a live line, that's a no-brainer. No-brainer. Give me 3.5 or better with Malik Willis. If you'd see that Love was knocked out and it's 14-10 Bears, and I can get 3.5 or better on Green Bay, I'm playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly something you want to bet live. And this next game, I think you should definitely bet live given the circumstances considering Josh Allen. So the Bills are favored by 1 or 1.5, depending on where you look, against the Jaguars. The big factor here is Josh Allen's foot injury. He could barely move against the Eagles back in week 17. And he didn't really play last week. He took the opening snap and then just sat because to keep the starting streak. I know. But anyway, he did not play last week. So we have no sense of how healthy he is outside of the injury report where he was full in 2 days. But you can't trust the injury report because he may not be running in practice. Like he could be practicing fully just throwing. But like if they're like, hey, Josh Allen start running a lot, like he'd be like, oh, I can't do it, So like we just don't know because they're not going to ask him to do that. So we won't know, barring a great report by a beat writer or something that if he's how healthy he is heading into this game, and I don't suspect we're going to know. So that's why, like Andy brought this up yesterday, that this would be a great game to bet live because if you see in the first like half a quarter, Josh Allen sprints for like a 20-yard run, and you're like, okay, his foot's fine. You can bet Buffalo safely. But if he's not running at all, it's like the first quarter expires. He has not had a scramble yet. You're like, okay, maybe he's not healthy. You can bet the Jaguars. So if you're to tell me right now that Josh Allen is completely healthy and he could run like he normally can, I would be on Buffalo. As much as I love Jacksonville, I have a 20-1 on Jacksonville. I also have a 13-1 on Buffalo. So I would not. If you tell me he's completely healthy, I would bet Buffalo. But if you tell me that he's limited and he can't run, I think Jacksonville's the right side. I think this is a very close game. I think Buffalo's a little bit better than Jacksonville. And I do think the line is correct. I think the Bills should be like a 1-point favorite here. So it's a tight spread, but there's a huge unknown right now with Allen's injury. So how would you approach this game? Because I'm leaning toward Jacksonville, but like I said, if I see Allen take off, then I'm going to bet the Bills.
All right, so let's start with Allen for a second because Ian Rappaport said Josh Allen's foot is the best it's been in ages. So I'm going to believe that for half a second. I'm going to take you back 2 weeks. Josh Allen rushed 7 times for 27 yards in the Philly game, in the Eagles game.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's going to be just fine, okay? Unless you see otherwise that he's really not moving around at all, meaning not taking off at all, Josh Allen's tough as nails, okay? And if he has an opportunity to run, he's going to run. Now, does he start hobbling around running? Maybe. I remember years ago, Cincinnati against Mahomes, and the week before Mahomes, I think it was the Jacksonville game, he like broke his ankle. He didn't break his ankle. He sprained his ankle, and he was hobbling around. He left the game. I forget who came in for him in that game, but I don't think he finished the game. I remember somebody else finished the game.
Is it Chad Henne?
Chad Henne finished the game. Was it Chad Henne? Anyway, somebody came in from Mahomes, and I remember it was in the it was between the championship game and was that the championship game that he came in and finished? He got hurt. So he got hurt in the Jaguars game.
I thought it was Cleveland game, no?
Maybe he got hurt in the Cleveland game. Okay, right. And then he played the Jaguars, and then he beat the Bengals. And all throughout the before the Super Bowl, it was, is Mahomes going to be okay? Is his ankle going to be okay? And that was like the great equalizer. And then Mahomes is running around, making plays with his legs. And it's like, okay, I'm not buying this crap anymore. This guy's suiting up. He's playing. So I'm going to go into the game, and I'm going to handicap the game based upon the notion that Josh Allen's going to be just fine to move and run. Until I see otherwise, that'll be my pick. Now, as far as betting it on the ladder, that we're going to do live anyway. So that's fine. But I'm going to handicap the game as if Josh Allen is, call it 90%. So let's start with my resume, okay? Because these two teams, I think there is somewhat of a discrepancy here. Buffalo 5-4 with 6 quality games. Jacksonville 5-3 with 5 quality games. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville has played great. You've been right. Jacksonville's been great. I've elevated Jacksonville. I have them top 5, maybe top 6 in the league right now. But why don't we go back and look at their last 2 months of play? They had 2 great wins, the Chargers game and the Broncos. They blew out the Chargers, and they won a nice game in Denver. They should have lost to Kansas City earlier in the season. They were blown out in London, which we always say the London games don't count. Who else have they beaten in the last 6 weeks? Tennessee, twice. Phillip Rivers / whoever else played for them, twice. The Jets, Arizona. That's a lot of wins against garbage. And the 2 games that were really great were not great wins. They were great wins, but they weren't against great teams. At least Buffalo did lose to Philly, but at least they came back at the end, and it was a 2-point conversion that Allen should have made. They lost to Philly. They lost to a top team. They lost to New England earlier in the season in a game that was such an obvious letdown spot, and then they came back when they were down 21-0 and beat the hell out of New England in the second half. So they beat Kansas City with Mahomes in what's their regular season Super Bowl. Okay, so Buffalo has been battle-tested throughout the season. So from a resume perspective, yes, it's fair to say Jacksonville might be playing better. I still have Buffalo as the better team. And that's why Buffalo as the better team is favored on the road. So from a resume perspective, Buffalo is the better team. Now, matchup. We all know where Buffalo's weakness is. They're very weak to the run. It's well documented. They're one of the worst teams. If they're not the worst team, maybe the Giants are worse to the run. So can Jacksonville get the run game going? Certainly very possible. Buffalo is very good against the pass. They're number 3 against the pass. As a matter of fact, both teams are very good against the pass. I have Jacksonville number 5 in the YPP defense against the pass. Both teams are, Buffalo, I should say, is very good on third down because they have Allen's ability to run. Jacksonville kind of middle of the pack. Buffalo, very good in the red zone. Jacksonville, not great, but good. Buffalo has been terrible in the first half. I don't know why that's been. I can't really give you any sort of rationale why Buffalo has been terrible first half throughout the season. Really, like starting week 1, they've been bad early in the game. And that's the problem that I've said with Buffalo a couple of times. When Buffalo finds themselves behind, Josh Allen tries to become Superman. 1st and 10, 2nd and 10, 3rd and 10, he might chuck the ball deep for no reason. Take what the defense will give you. And that sometimes concerns me. But he proved me wrong when they were behind against Cincinnati. The defense did what they were supposed to do. Yes, they had a couple of fluky pick sixes, but Allen didn't try to do too much on offense. He took the ball, moved the ball downfield, scored when he had to score. So I look at Buffalo as a more battle-tested team with better quality wins. I agree that Jacksonville is a worthy opponent. And as a matter of fact, I think the winner of this game is going to the Super Bowl. But I'm not going to be picking against Buffalo until they're out. So you could book me this week for Buffalo. You could book me next week for Buffalo. And you could book me the following week for Buffalo. Because until they lose, I'm going to be on Buffalo's side. I trust that Allen's going to be fine. I believe the line is correct. I think Buffalo is about 3 points better. give about 1.5 or so points to Jacksonville for being at home. So I think Buffalo minus 1.5 is a fair line. There's no question that Jacksonville can win this game. And there's no question that if they take a lead early, I would worry about Allen being Superman. I love this game as a shootout. I love it. I wonder about rain. I was looking before to see the forecast for Jacksonville. I think there might be a chance of rain, but I think it looked like it was more early in the morning. So I'm going to assume that rain's not a factor. By the way, in rain, Lawrence historically has been terrible with a wet football. Holds the ball with one hand, fumbles. Now, he's been much better in the last 2 months of the season than he's been his entire career. But is that the quality of opponent? Like running up yardage, which we won a lot of money on, against the Jets or the Titans or the Colts? Even though Buffalo's defense, their run defense is not good, but their pass defense is. And again, the comment of experience here. I just trust Josh Allen in these spots. It's not the Chiefs; they're built to beat the Chiefs. But I love the Bills. I think Allen is fantastic. Right now, he's my MVP. He makes things go. He's impossible to defend when you need something. If they're down 2 touchdowns, I expect them to come back. I expect him to be able to score pretty much every single time he gets the ball. If they don't win this game, I think McDermott's gone, and they'll probably go hard after Harbaugh. I know Miami fired McDaniels today because they probably want to go for Harbaugh too. Once Harbaugh gets fired, half the league is firing their coach. If Buffalo loses this game, I don't see how McDermott survives. But hey, Jacksonville's a good team. Just I worry about Jacksonville overall. My underlying thought here is that Jacksonville's beaten up on a bunch of cupcakes, and now you're stepping up into class. I think Buffalo, to me, right up there with the Rams, best team in the league. I would love to see Buffalo, Philly, or Buffalo Rams. Well, I'd love to see Buffalo against the Niners, but taking the Niners out of the equation as a fan, the best Super Bowl to me is Buffalo against either Philly or the Rams. And Buffalo Rams is probably the best game.
Yeah.
So I'll be rooting for Buffalo. You're 13-1 or you're 22-1. I think the winner of this game is going to Santa Clara.
Andy says that Rams over Bills exact to 75-1, 60-1. I have 80-1 on both sides there. So I'm rooting for that as well. I have my exactas are live are Rams, Bills, and Eagles, Bills. So I also have Rams, Jaguars too, which I bet late. But yeah, to defend Jacksonvile for a second, and I agree with you. I think if Allen's healthy, I think the Bills win the game. But the some of the results you're talking about where they beat a lot of not great teams, for example, like the Chargers can't block, the Broncos are very flawed as we've discussed, but they've won convincingly in many of their games. So it's kind of like I treat it like the Patriots, where they've had a very easy schedule, but they've demolished their competition. So you kind of have to take them seriously as opposed to the Broncos,
100%,
who are barely bad teams. So
I agree with that 100%, which is why I have the Jaguars number 4 in my power rankings, ahead of Seattle, which is crazy. I may need to flip that. I have Jacksonville really high because of exactly what you just said. It's not that they're just winning games against Titans. They're killing the Titans. They're killing the Jets. They're killing they didn't kill Arizona, by the way. That was a close game for some reason.
But I think that's before like Myers got really integrated in the offense.
Sure. And I agree with you that this is a very worthy opponent. The blown game against Davis Mills, you could throw it out. Their offense was very good against Houston's defense, so I give them credit for that. They dominated the Chargers, who are a good team. And ultimately, they took care of business. The win in Denver was very impressive. Regardless of what we think about Denver, they went into Denver and killed them. They dominated Denver in Denver, and that's really where I elevated them in the power rankings. And we were on that game. That was a contest pick at 3.5, right? And that was a very impressive win. Buffalo's a step up in class, and Buffalo's battle tested this year. They were down big against Baltimore. They held on to it, came back, won the game. Down big against Cincinnati, made the plays necessary, both offensively and defensively, won the game. Kansas City, we know how big that game is every year, and they win that game every year. But still, that's a big game to play and win. They did not play well, although it was a Thursday night, which doesn't count, in Houston. That was a tough loss where their offense just sputters. And they just, for some reason, Josh Allen's not good against Houston at all. But you look at the games week in, week out, even the Eagles game, which was a loss, and a downpour. And the Eagles went to sleep with a lead as usual. And Buffalo, I still thought should have won that game at the end, but Allen missed a play, and it is what it is. But they're battle tested. They're playing against quality teams. That New England game down 21-0 on the road against a good team. Even though they're not battle tested, New England's still a good team for the same reason we talk about Jacksonville. They're winning games by margin. They're winning the games. They're doing what they have to do. And Buffalo goes in there and dominates. Buffalo didn't let up against Carolina. When they went to Carolina, dominate. So I look at Buffalo as a team overall, even the Tampa, and we know Tampa's fallen off a cliff. Buffalo put up 44. They do what they had to do. So I love this. I love this quarterback. When he doesn't try to do too much and be Superman, he's such a fun, joyous quarterback to watch. I'm really rooting hard for him. I root for the fan base. I root for the quarterback. I like the team. And unfortunately, they're playing Jacksonville. We talk about matchups. It's unfortunate that we can't pick both of these teams in round one.
I know.
I would have loved to pick both of these teams in round one. Whereas some of the other matchups, Chicago, Green Bay, one of those teams is going to round two. And that's too bad because Buffalo and Jacksonville much better than both of those teams. But one of these teams are going to have to go home. And I think the team that wins is going to make a nice run.
Yeah, this really should be the AFC Championship.
These are the best teams in the AFC by far.
Yeah, with Kansas City having a down year and Baltimore blowing that game on Sunday night. These are the two best teams here, and it is a shame that they have to play each other in round one. Best ball, it's a nightmare too because you either have to stack the Bills or stack the Jaguars and hope you get it right. So,
is that where you're playing players throughout the season, throughout the postseason?
Throughout the postseason, yeah. Like for example,
it's not a week by week. It's not a week by week contest.
So this team, as you can see on the screen here, I had the 6th pick, and I took I did a Patriots Niners stack, or it's
so you can't win because you have Niners, and that's we'll get to them, but you just threw away the second pick.
I did. I even said it when I did it. I was like, I have not seen McCaffrey go this late. I have so little exposure to McCaffrey.
God bless you.
I'm like, this is the perfect time to do it. So
God bless you, my fellow Niner fan, for this best ball pick.
I threw away $20. I even said it, but
you did. You're better off picking 4 defenses to score.
No, most of my teams are Bills, Eagles, Jaguars, Eagles, Rams, Rams, or Bills, Eagles, Bills, Rams, Jaguars, Eagles.
How much
Jaguars,
do these things
Rams.
cost?
They're $20.
These are $20 each, and how many people are in this type of contest?
In this contest, there are where is it? I think 150,000 people. I believe 150,000 or so. I can't find it.
All right, so then playing Niners makes sense because nobody else will.
Well, people do take McCaffrey. People are taking the Niners early. Like, do we have it here? Where is it?
Out of curiosity, how many teams do you have? 300.
I have. I think I have about 120.
Oh my goodness. I was somewhat joking when I said 300.
Oh, I'm getting there. I actually don't. I would have closer to that if I had time. Here's the ADP average draft position. Christian McCaffrey is number 2. He's on average. He's the second player off the board.
Yeah, I like that Puka pick as one.
Yeah,
but that makes
Puka every time I can get Puka, I get him. If I can't get Puka, I take Josh Allen. And if I can't take Puka or Josh Allen, I either take Saquon Barkley or Drake May.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Depending on how quarterback is a premium here, because if you don't have an elite one, you just don't have one. And then Barkley, he hasn't been great, but we'll
surprised I don't see Bo Nix up there.
Where is Bo Nix? Let's see. He is number 34. Right there. So
we'll get to these best ball lineups next week. Yes. We'll see how many you have alive.
Hopefully more than a couple. I have Blake Corum. He's the best value, by the way, number 46. Blake Corum's right here. I have more Blake Corum than any other player. I have 53% Blake Corum. So it's 7th, 8th round. Like there's really no downside.
I just don't know how you have the time to draft 120 best ball lineups. That's very impressive.
Well, it's either on the toilet or if I'm watching my kids. Or if I'm outside with my kids today, they're riding the bike in the cul-de-sac. I have my drafting out, and like it goes bling bling. I'm like, okay, I'll take this guy, put it back in my pocket. So that's I don't like sit down on my computer. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take this guy. Never do that. It's always like, if I'm just waiting on something, or if I'm indisposed, that's when I do it. So you know, if I
All
win
right.
this thing and they interview me, I'll be like, yeah, I probably drafted this one when I was dropping a deuce.
Oh, brother. Okay. Moving
I
right
don't
along.
I don't have Garendo, sadly. I do have
One
one.
second, but do you have the so you're not who do you have winning this game? You have Buffalo winning this game? Or you have
Um,
Jacksonville right now winning this game?
I pencil in Jacksonville, thinking
And I
Allen may
forgot
not
who
be
you
100
said.
percent
You pencil in Jacksonville and you penciled in who? The Packers or Bears?
Packers.
Okay, so we're on opposite sides of this without really strong plays, but I am on the Bills and I am on the Bears to win.
Yeah, I like I said, this is a Bills Jaguars game that I'm going to bet live. Like I said, if Allen is moving, then I'm going to bet the Bills. But if Allen's like stationary, not doing anything, in terms of scrambling, then I'll bet the Jaguars.
Well, I think both whether he's moving or not, I think getting the plus points
Yeah,
in all these what I think close games is a good strategy.
yeah, yeah. How can you watch the kids while transfixed on the computer screen? That's not computers. That's the phone. They'll just do it. It's actually easier to draft on the phone. So you get the notification, goes bling 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 bling, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna draft this guy, and then just put it down. It's like 2 seconds. I don't lose any concentration on it. I actually know who I'm gonna pick. I have I star the guys I want. So if I take Josh Allen first, I'll start Cook or Kincaid or Shakir. I'll start all the Bills players, and then I'll just take the next best one. Actually, it will go on auto draft if I needed to. And then I did want to say I have one out of my 120 lineups. I have one team with Brian Robinson Jr., who I took in the final round. So that is I just call it the differentiation round. Because it's this first round. If you win this first round, you're in the money basically. It's it's the top team out of 6. So the top team out of 6 goes to the second round. Then the top team out of the next 6 goes to the semifinals, and then the top team out of the next 6 goes to the championship. And even if you get last place in the Super Bowl, you get $500, and grand prize is $1 million. So it's in the Super Bowl. There's like 580 or so teams, I think, or maybe it's 850. I can't remember. Maybe I reverse those numbers. So I saw like your last pick should be your differentiation player. So like if you have the Bills, I was taking like Ty Johnson or Brandon Cooks, like someone people may not have. So if I get the Bills to the Super Bowl, if like Ty Johnson scores like 2 touchdowns randomly, I'm going to be competing against like basically almost no one, So same the Niners. I was like, who could I take with the Niners? So I decided either Tunges. Yeah, I decided either Kendrick Bourne or Brian Robinson Jr. Okay. So I needed a running back, so I took Robinson. So that's why I took the Robinson, the one team. So anyway, I digress here with these. If you want to watch some of my drafts, I post them every Tuesday night. You can tune in, and Kenny and I have done some drafts together. So let's get back to the games and your San Francisco 49ers at Philadelphia Eagles. We have a beautiful 2.5 point line that we bet last week. So thank you for that. Thank you for that notification, Evan.
Everybody who didn't do that, shame on you.
I know. Shame on me because I didn't bet enough. I bet 3 units at the time. I'm like, that's enough.
3 units.
That's not here.
Units.
It's not nearly enough. I was like, I wish I had like 10 units in this game at the very least. So the Eagles are now 5.5. They were 4.5 yesterday when Andy and I were discussing this game. Not that 5's a key number or anything, but still.
Now? Oh shoot, yeah, it's 5.5.
Yeah, 5. I think games to land on 5 is like very small. I think it's let's see, it's 2.2 2.1% chance to land on 5. So it's a very small number. So anyway, the Eagles Niners here. I think that this is the other. There are two games I think this in the first round of the playoffs that have a big talent discrepancy, and I think this is the second one. Now the Niners offense has had some great performances, and ESPN had that like, oh, they haven't punted in December stat, which like is so misleading because they played like what the Titans and the injury ravaged Colts and the Browns where they got great field position so many times.
Yeah, you can't punt when you start at the 30. Even right. Shanahan can't punt when he starts at the
30. No, he wants to, but yeah, you can't. And then he played against the Bears, who don't have a good defense either, although they did punt in that game. So that was misleading. And then they had this 3-point performance against the Seahawks in Week 18. Seattle has the number 1 defense. The Eagles have the number 3 defense, which is a little bit lower because they haven't had Jalen Carter for some time. And I mean, he came back in Week 17, but still, he was missing some games. So if he was healthy all year, maybe they're like number 2 instead of number 3. So they have a great defense. They should be able to hold down the Niners. Trent Williams is banged up. I suspect he's going to play, but he may not be 100%. What was his status, by the way? He's DMP limited, so he could still be out. Pearsall, by the way, hasn't practiced yet, so I would assume he's going to be out. But yeah, Williams is not 100% against this pass rush. Just seems like such a big problem. On the other side, you have the Eagles against the Niner defense. They can't pressure anyone. I'll let you talk about the Cam Ward game, but the Eagles should be able to have all the protection they want. They'll throw, I think, very well on the Niners. The Niners can't stop tight ends at all, and I think that Goddard should have a really big game here. And the Niners have been better against the run than the pass, but against the Seahawks they couldn't stop the run. So that has to be concerning against Barkley too. So I think the Eagles run away with this. We went into this -2.5 thinking, oh, we can middle this. I'm thinking we double down. I'm going to bet Eagles again on top of the 2.5 to make up for the units I didn't bet. So that's why I said I wish I had 10 units on the Eagles. Yeah. So anyway, I love the Eagles here. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, you know where I'm going. So let's start with the process here of going through the resumes. Now, of all the teams in the playoffs, right, and we talked about earlier, I mentioned the Rams as a battle-tested team that's been very good. 8 quality games. The average of all the teams, the 14 teams, and the average quality games that teams have is 5.3. And the Rams, of course, at 8. The Eagles are at 7. The Eagles are 6-2 in games against quote-unquote good teams. Okay. What are the Niners? Well, the Niners are the worst of that group. The Niners have only 3 quality games the entire season. Wow. And obviously one of those early in the season against Seattle, Week 1, it was a totally different team. The Niners are, what is their record against good teams? What I have here, 4-5. It's like every single time the Niners play a good team, they lose. And the Eagles, I would mention the battle tested. They have wins against Kansas City. They beat the Rams. They won at Tampa Bay when Tampa was better, not when Tampa Bay is now. Right. They beat the Vikings on the road, which is, it's not like the Niners playing Tennessee. All right. The Vikings are better than Tennessee. Right. Eagles beat Green Bay on the road on a night game. They dominated Detroit in a night game. They won at Buffalo, I mentioned last week in the rain game. Some of their losses have been poor. Like they played above average teams. Like they lost to Chicago, knocking out a survivor. They did not show up to stop the run. The Chargers game, I still don't know how they lost the Chargers game. It was a close game. But the Niners, I mean, when they stepped up in class, when they played the Rams, after they had beaten the Rams with Mac Jones, they go and they play the Rams again, they get roasted. They got blown out last week. I get it. That game was only a 10-point game, and their defense was better. Their offense did absolutely nothing. They couldn't move the ball at all. They couldn't get first downs. There's a 3rd and 15 or 17. They give up a draw. They can't stop the run. They were just absolutely terrible. And now Tatum Bethune, who's been wearing the green dot for Fred Warner, he's out. So now Eric Hendricks, who they picked up midseason, is wearing the green dot at middle linebacker. So this is a team that every time they've stepped up, they lost to – who else did they lose to? The Niners lost to Tampa Bay. They lost to the Jaguars. They played Houston on the road. They couldn't move the ball there. So not just Rams and Seattle, but other teams too. When they played better teams, they're not winning games. And we predicted this before the season started, that the Niners would play the biggest joke of a schedule. And we said New England also would be up there. New England's schedule has been even easier. This team would get a lot of wins. And then we're going to come and do our strength of schedule ranking in Week 1 of the playoffs, and they're going to lose. They're going to be a 2 seed, and they're going to be at home, and they're going to lose. And I still have my flights and my hotel booked for San Francisco for January 25th, holding out some miraculous type of hope that the Niners and Packers, my 7-year-old son says it could be 6 versus 7, and I shouldn't cancel my flight yet. So I did it. That's why my 7-year-old is thinking, Daddy, it's going to be 6-7, Niners, Packers, and we're going to go to San Francisco.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, if that's the case, then we'll wake him up and put him on the show and do his 6-7 crap. But that's the resume, and that's really huge. And matchup wise, kind of just follows suit. This is probably the worst matchup for the Niners, given that if there's no Trent, I don't see how they protect at all. They're not going to be able to run the ball. They've been inefficient running the ball. Without Trent, that's just a massive downgrade overall. And we'll talk about where my power rating is if he's in or out of the game later. But it's just a terrible matchup. The Niners just don't get pressure on the quarterback. You said I can talk about Cam Ward, so the Niners didn't sack Cam Ward once. They didn't touch Brissett. 57 dropbacks. They didn't touch him once. If you can't pressure Darnold, we said it last week, he's going to pick you apart. He didn't really pick them apart, but he didn't make mistakes because the Niners don't get near him. And that's a big problem. If you can get pressure on Hurts, Hurts can make mistakes. They're not a great offense, obviously. And their offensive line hasn't been great. Lane Johnson, is he playing? I don't know. Maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. Barkley certainly hasn't looked the same. But this is a very, very tough matchup. And, of course, the key factor is Trent Williams. If he plays, maybe the Niners can keep pace a little bit. Pearsall's probably not going to play either. That's a big problem. Pearsall at least can help stretch the field a little bit. But without Trent, I make this line 7. Now, with him, I think the line's fair at 5.5, maybe 6. And I'm not going to double down. Last week, not only did we bet -2.5 at -105, but we played the money line. I told you, play the money line also at -130. Once I got limited at the 2.5, started playing money line like a drunk sailor, thinking there's no way I can hedge this back if I don't like it and just scalp a middle. So I haven't even done that. I could, and I got a lot on the Eagles -130, and I have a lot on the Eagles at 2.5. At some point, maybe I hedge it a little bit because I do have quite a bit on the Eagles, and I'm obviously rooting for the Niners. I worry that this can get very, very ugly. With a bad weather game, with Purdy on the road, I made this game 31-13. Now, 31 might be a lot of points for the Eagles, but I think that's simply because their defense could put their offense in position to score. And I think Hurts in the playoffs, if they wake up for a playoff run, we could see what we saw last year in the Super Bowl, where if they're up 21-10, 24-10, they can be throwing the ball late for no reason at all other than just to suck it up and throw the ball deep. Mm-hmm. I think the Niners are going to lose by 2 or 3 touchdowns. I hate to say it. I'm rooting against it. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not trying to be a biased jinx the fan or jinx the team fan. I just don't see how. I asked one of my sons before, my older son, how can the Niners win this game? And he's usually, my older son is the optimist in the family, and he didn't really give me a good answer. And I kind of felt that he said, "Oh, Trent's going to play," and he said his one word was CMC. He said CMC's got to be CMC from 2 years ago. I said, well, the problem with CMC being CMC from 2 years ago, it's not 2 years ago. Right. CMC now is 450 touches, and he's got a back injury, and he's on the sidelines getting back treatment between drives. And without Trent, I just don't see it. So I really think that Carolina's got just as good of a chance to win as the Niners do. And it's injury related, and it's matchup related, and it's quality of opponent, resume related, and every single sign points to the Eagles. And the line is short. I would not recommend people going crazy at 5.5. You know why? Because you should have 2.5. And if you already have 2.5, you don't need to bet 5.5. You don't need to double down. It's not necessary. You could play alt lines with odds, but there's no reason to double down. If you played enough last week at the money line at -30 and the spread at 2.5, why would you double down? Take your win. Don't hedge it. Take your win to the bank, and that's it. So I don't even think there's anything to play live in this game. Like, what are we going to play live in this game? Purdy yards? I don't like it. If Purdy's behind, he's going to throw a pick. Take +170 over a half a pick from Purdy. So the Niner fan in me, very upset. Had a chance to get the 1 seed last week. Didn't get there. And the team, by the way, sounded depressed after the game. When you asked the team afterwards, Kittle was like, go Cards. They were actively talking about, hey, I don't think
go Cards.
He said go Cards, yeah, because he don't want to play. He wanted to play Carolina. They don't want to play Philly. And the team was all like, oh, at least I get to play football next week. Like, thank God I get to play football next week. It
Wow.
sucks. We lost. It sucks. Every single player that they went around, it was almost like the season was over. And they said, well, but we get to play football next week. We have a chance to go to Philly next week. We have a chance to play. Our season's not over yet. And every single player, as they went around that room, it felt like depression was in that locker room. Just don't see how they win. And it sucks. But take advantage of it. Next time, listen to me when I tell you to bet the Eagles minus 130 or the advanced line. And we'll talk later about some of the divisional lines that we should bet now. But this was the easiest one on the board by a landslide.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, I do regret not betting enough, and I think that they kind of see the writing on the wall here. They know that their team is cooked. That they've so many injuries defensively. They had some hope that Fred Warner could return.
Fred Warner might be back next week, by the way.
Next week, okay.
Well, yeah, they're talking about championship game, and that's another reason why he was really pushing to play a divisional round.
Mm-hmm.
Chance he can come back next week. He's already running on the sideline. Pearsall's been running on the sideline. Trent was limited today. They're going to try to. I think they're going to try to gut it out. I think Trent will play and try to gut it out. I don't know if Pearsall can. Fred can't play this week. Maybe he guts it out, and if they win, they play next week. But This is just the absolute worst matchup. I would much rather play the Rams in a finesse game than a game where they're going to get mauled on the line.
Yeah. This is, by the way, I always look for, leverage spots in any facet of life. And he asked me why I play 120 best ball drafts. It's because Christian McCaffrey's going to, and people are drafting the Niners early. I'm like, well, I don't have a 1 in 6 chance. I have a 1 in 5 chance for anyone taking the Niners, and really maybe 1 in 4, depending on who else they draft. So I the other night I drafted 6 times with one guy in the same night. He took Cooper Kupp with his third round pick. Like, okay, that's you're not winning. He took quarterback to Cooper Kupp every single time. I actually tweeted it out, and I'm like this guy should not be driving. I hope he's not. So yeah, I don't understand what that was, but yeah, like I said, there's a good opportunity there, I think. No, what about Ayuk? Maybe he could attend the game and get Jalen Carter to spit on him before the first snap.
Yeah, I mean, I called it from day one. He was a bust from day one. I call him, my nickname for Ayuk, literally from the draft, Stonehands. I called him Stonehands Ayuk because he was a great route runner, but he had hands of stone.
Yeah.
Now, to his credit, I was at the Lions-Niners game. I was on the other end zone, so I couldn't really see it well. But he had that crazy catch right before the goal line. So I appreciated that. Also, his name is Brandon, and my little son is Brandon. Outside of the fact that he has a good name and had one big catch in his career, I thought he was a Stonehands bust of a receiver. I was dying for the Niners to draft CeeDee Lamb that year.
Oh, yeah.
And I liked Trayvon Diggs at the same time, and the Cowboys got both of them, and the Niners drafted Javon Kinlaw, bust, and Brandon Ayuk, who then they gave a contract to, bust. They also drafted Jake Moody in the 3rd round, bust. Lynch is awful. They drafted Trey Lance 3rd. Somehow they got lucky with Purdy, who's a decent quarterback, but then paid him $55 million. That's not fun. So
yeah, they could have got.
Sense my distaste for this front office, who people think are most overrated front office in football. John Lynch. I can go through player after player. It's like, oh yeah, he found Kittle and he found Fred Warner. These are great players, but 90% of his draft picks have been just a disaster.
he's had some stickers. He could have taken T. Higgins, I think. I think he's around that range. I puke is maybe better.
No, he's a Stonehands. His hands of stone. He's a bum. He's also not very bright. He posted a video of himself driving like 120 miles an hour past Levi Stadium a couple of weeks ago. That's not very wise. It's like doing like Instagram live of him going 120 as he passes the stadium.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's not on the team anymore, so I don't really care about Brandon Ayuk at this point. I'm only worried about the players who are there. Unfortunately, half of them are on the bench, on IR or injured or some capacity injured. Trent's got to play. If he doesn't play, we got no shot. If he plays and the Eagles go to sleep, because they've gone to sleep before a couple times this season, maybe I'll turn the game on and until the game is 7-0 or whatever the score might be early. Once that game is before there's points on the board, I'm just a regular fan.
Yeah. Look, you asked for the best chance to win. It's like any given Sunday,
Yep.
or the best explanation of winning. Weird things happen in football.
Weird things happen. Just got to root for weirdness.
Right. Better hands than Josh Reynolds, I guess. No one worse. Anyway, let's go to the Sunday night game. We have Chargers at the Patriots. The Patriots are -3.5. This advanced spread was 3, so it's gone up to 3.5. But I think it was Chris who said earlier, Chargers +3.5 might be worth locking in early. There's already 6 Patriots listed. It's missing practice from the flu, which I checked, and he is right. There's a lot of illness, injuries, quote unquote, for the Patriots. So a lot of these guys DNP both days so far with illnesses. And anytime I see 3 illnesses on the injury report, it's a red flag. But they have 6. That's tough. So that's on top of the analysis that I gave yesterday, which was this is the third of 3 quarterbacks making the first start. I'll say it again for those who are just tuning in right now. Quarterbacks making the first start in the playoffs: 19-40 and 1 against the spread, 19-41 straight up. And also the Patriots, they played a lot of easy games this year. Now, to their credit, they've won in blowouts in them, and so I don't want to take anything away from them. But in the 3 games against tough opponents so far this season, they beat the Bills by 3, they lost to the Bills by 4, and they beat the Ravens by 4. So +3 +3 +4 -4. This line is 3.5. Like I think the Chargers are certainly in the mix with the Ravens. I think they're pretty close. Now they do have a tackle issue blocking, but the Patriots don't have a great edge rush, so it's not bad. But I don't think they can fully take advantage of it. So in the sort of matchup, I would rate the Chargers with the Ravens about maybe a slightly worse, but they're still in the same area of talent overall. So I think this will be a close game, and I think the most likely result is Patriots by 3. But that was I said that before all these illnesses, so maybe that would lead me toward the Chargers. The most likely result being the Chargers winning by 3. Either way, it's take Chargers +3.5. You win with both by 3s, obviously. So I'm on the Chargers here. I was on the Chargers for 3 units before these illnesses came to my attention, and now I might be even higher on the Chargers. What do you think about this game?
Well, first of all, as far as illnesses are concerned, today's Thursday. You got a couple of days to go.
Yeah.
I heard after the game tonight that Miami, Cristobal said that a bunch of his guys had the flu. So I'm not going to handicap illnesses today. Maybe that's something we pay attention to more as the game begins. If you hear guys are getting fluids or not traveling with the team, obviously they're traveling, they're at home. But I can't handicap illness now. What I can handicap now is going back to my fun resume, where the Chargers are clearly the more battle-tested team. They're the team that's 5-3 against good teams. They have 5 quality wins. Pat's only 3-2. With 4 quality wins. Now, we talked about this with Jacksonville and earlier with Chicago. I believe New England is a good team. When they went up 21-0 against Buffalo, I raised their ceiling. Yes, they blew the game in the end, but I still raised their ceiling. And just because Snoop Huntley was in instead of Lamar, I am impressed with their comeback against Baltimore as well. Even though Baltimore's not an above 500 team, to me, Baltimore's still a good team. And they would have been an above 500 team had they not missed half their defense for 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. Clearly, they decided they missed the kick. They missed half their team for a month and a half of the season, and therefore John Harbaugh needs to be fired, which is utterly insane. But anyway, so I believe the Patriots are good. I believe they've done what you said Jacksonville did, which is when they played these bad teams, they're for the most part winning by a lot. But they also played some mediocre teams like Atlanta and won by 1 on a missed extra point. Mm-hmm. They beat Tampa by 5. They beat Cincinnati on the road in a non-Burrow game by 6. So that doesn't really give you a lot of confidence in New England in general. And again, they're not battle tested, and that's something that really matters a lot to me as you go into some of these games. Now, matchup wise, despite the schedule, New England's been a top 2, top 3 offense. They're throwing the ball downfield. May has been excellent, so it doesn't matter who he's playing. He's playing great. So you do have to factor quality of opponent, but he is still playing very, very well. I believe they're a very good offense. But the Chargers are a very good defense, especially a pass defense, and especially a defense that doesn't give up yards deep, although they did to Stroud twice against Houston a couple weeks ago. I still believe with Derwin James, this is a very, very solid defense. It's going to be cold weather. I don't anticipate this game being a shootout. Now, defensively, New England is not a great team pass rush wise. PFF has them ranked number 18. I wonder where you have them in overall pressure, because that obviously, you talk about the Chargers, can they protect? So you tell me, where do you have New England in your pressure chart? Because PFF has them as number 18. I don't look at this team as like, where do you have them? I'm sorry.
12.
12. Okay. So I don't look at this team as, with Micah Parsons or Myles Garrett or the Houston pass rush, which we'll get to next. So can they get to Herbert in this game? Maybe. But Herbert can also make plays with his legs. And I think the key factor in this game is experience. Now, Herbert has had really poor, obviously, lack of success in the playoffs, lack of success in big games. But he's playing great. And I make the line in this game 3 because I do give some yield to New England as a slightly better team. I also give some points to New England as home field advantage. But 3.5 to me is a little high. So I'm with you. I lean maybe towards New England winning. I absolutely believe the Chargers are a live dog in the game. And I would take the 3.5. This is, we're on the same side of this. Obviously, we bet the Eagles on an earlier line, on a better line, and we both like the Rams. I wouldn't lay it. I wouldn't love it laying 10.5. I would rather play live alternates. The Bears is certainly not a game I would bet until I got a live number. And I would lean to the Bills. I wouldn't love betting the Bills until I really had a live number as well. Here, I like the 3.5. This is if we were playing contests right now, I would say, yeah, we have a live dog. We're getting 3.5. If the line were 3, probably take it as a dog. But 3.5, I kind of like. I believe this game is going to be a great game. I think this game is going to be a field goal game. If you ask me who I think is going to win, I probably lean to the Pats. But that Herbert experience, to me, matters. And if they can protect him enough and his receivers don't drop passes, you remember Rondé Gadsden and I think Keenan Allen dropped the pass against Houston.
Yeah.
Then I absolutely think that they could win this game. There's another thing in this game that I looked at from a matchup perspective is the red zone. New England's the 30th ranked red zone defense. The Chargers are the 29th ranked red zone offense.
Wow.
So something's got to give, right? The Pats give up 68% touchdowns in the red zone, but the Chargers score on less than 50%. Mm-hmm. So what's it going to be? Someone's going to do well in the red zone or not. To me, this is a step up in class for New England. It's the first playoff game for May. How is he affected by that? How does he react to the pressure? So I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a 3-point game. I like the 3.5. And maybe Pats win 23-20, something like that. 2017, low scoring, cold, New England weather, good playoff game, good playoff atmosphere. I'd be very surprised if somebody ran away with this game. I like the 3.5.
Okay, we're in agreement there. Yeah, I agree. This would be a contest pick for me.
I think this would be a good contest.
Yeah, we'll still submit our picks to Andy on Saturday. So,
Andy, I like the Eagles and Survivor, Andy.
Actually, I was wondering about that. Would you take the Eagles here, or would you take the Rams?
Let's come back to that after the last game because that goes to the overall playoff picture.
Okay, fair enough. All right, last game, Monday night, Texans at the Steelers. The Texans were 3.5 point favorites. They've gone down to 3, so some money coming in on Pittsburgh here, which I can't say I'm too surprised. Mike Tomlin has an incredible track record of being an underdog. We know that. I think he's like 58-36 against the spread as an underdog, just blindly underdog. As a home underdog, he is 10-2 against the spread. So these are fantastic numbers. And Monday night, the Steelers, for I don't know why. I don't. Maybe it's not even a small sample size anymore. It's kind of substantial for the amount of Monday night games there are. But Steelers tend to do very well Monday nights. Not that that's like factoring into my handicap at all. The obvious thing you can look at here is Houston's pass rush against Pittsburgh's offensive line, which is not very good. So you would expect Houston to dominate there. But TJ Watt's back. TJ Watt was back last week. He didn't fully play. He didn't play all the snaps he usually would. I think he played about like 80% of what he usually would, and he still looked really good. And now he's going to be a week healthier. I suspect he's going to play all the snaps he usually would. There's also Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward. They have a great they have great talent on their front seven as well. And Houston's offensive line is not good either. So I think the Steelers could also get pressure on CJ Stroud. And if you're talking like who do you trust more in pressure situations? Is it CJ Stroud, who's he's won his past couple of first round playoff games, but then second round he has not done as well. And or do you trust Aaron Rodgers, who is 42, granted, and had a rough start to his season and had some terrible games in the middle, but has played better recently. Like the game against Detroit or against Baltimore in Baltimore, the Ravens game. So Rodgers has played better. He's going to get DK Metcalf back. I think that's absolutely huge. Their offense is going to look better, and that should open up more stuff underneath. And if there's a weakness to this Houston defense, it's against tight ends. They're like, I think like 18th against tight ends, and the Steelers use a lot of tight ends, obviously. So that could be a way they move the ball. Kenneth Gainwell is catching a lot of passes. Some weird stuff happens when the Steelers are home underdogs here in this sort of situation against non-elite teams. For some reason, they find ways to get a win here or a cover. Like I see Houston's winning like 19-17. Steelers get the cover, like in a weird game, or Steelers winning outright. I could see Steelers winning like 20-17. I think it's gonna be a low-scoring game. Steelers could steal this one, and so I like the Steelers. Not a lot, but a little bit. This would not be a contest play, but it would be maybe like a 2-unit play for me.
What's the line you have right now?
+3. Pittsburgh +3.
Yeah, actually, I'm seeing threes across the board for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was I assume that it was the Sharps who took the 3.5, but anyway, yeah, I like the Steelers a little bit. What do you think about this game?
So my resume has both teams at 5-5 against good teams with 5 quality games. Houston's maybe a little bit better because they have recent quality wins against the Jaguars with Davis Mills, by the way, who pretty much saved their season when Stroud went down. They also beat Buffalo Thursday night. At Kansas City was a good win. At the Chargers was a good win. Pitt beat Baltimore twice, so call that a good win, obviously, even though last week, call it a miracle win with somehow the kick being the Boswell missed extra point and a missed field goal. They also beat Detroit, who didn't really show up. They beat New England earlier in the season. Granted, New England had 5 turnovers, including 2 that were on the goal line. Pittsburgh also had some concerning losses this year, which is typical of Tomlin. They also lost to better teams. When they played Buffalo, they lost. They had Green Bay. We took them as a contest pick that night. Sunday Night Football, they lost 35-25. The Chargers game on the road, lost. Matchup-wise, we know what this game comes down to. Pittsburgh is a slightly below-average offense against the best defense in football. Houston is a bad offense, maybe not the worst offense, versus an improving Pitt defense. I don't think this is the Pitt defense without Watt or the Pitt defense in week 1 that gave 30 points to the Jets. I think that we might be seeing the Pitt defense that shut down Henry in the second half last week, right? And they were great in the second half, other than Jalen Ramsey twice, just completely blown coverages. But that's a little more moving around in the pocket, creating some time to throw the ball deep, whereas Stroud is not going to have the time to do that. And Stroud doesn't move well in the pocket either. And I pointed out numerous times throughout the season, Stroud doesn't pick up protections very well. So with Watt back and Highsmith there, and if they can shut down the run, Houston's going to have a hard time scoring the ball. I have Pitt as the number 4 rated pass rush team by PFF, so I'm curious to see where you have their pressure rate. If you want to quickly pull up your pressure rate for Pittsburgh, I wonder where you have them. But again, that stat may be skewed by Watt being out of the lineup the last couple of games. So where do you have Pittsburgh in your pass rush?
I will. I'll get that in a second. So
okay,
you want to keep talking
because we know that Houston's going to have trouble blocking, right? Now Houston is, if they're not the best, maybe Cleveland's number 1. Houston's probably a very 1A in rushing the passer, but Rodgers doesn't take sacks. Rodgers gets the ball out quick, whether it's a quick seam throw to Freiermuth or a quick bubble screen to DK or a pass in the flat to Warren or Gainwell. Rodgers is going to get the ball out nice and quick. Now, can they move the ball like that? I don't think they're going to put up a lot of points either. So obviously we talk about the under. The under is probably a good play, except what's the key factor in this game for me is the defensive line creating turnovers. So we know the defensive line will force quick throws from Rodgers or maybe gets to Stroud for sacks. But will they get the ball like they did last week, where the ball gets tipped and then Watt picks it off? Or Watt, we've seen in the playoffs in the past, even when games like Kansas City years ago, or the Buffalo, I forget who it was again. I think it was Kansas City. And first play of the game was a TJ Watt strip sack, pick the ball, scoop and score a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Can Pittsburgh do that? And Watt has had a tendency, especially in big games, to be able to get to the quarterback, create those turnovers. And if they do that and create field position, this game can be mighty close. So Houston's also very, very bad on third down, and they're number 30th in the league in red zone offense. So I expect a lot of field goals. Despite Boswell missing last week, I still trust Boswell. I think he's the best kicker in the league. If he's not the best kicker, he's a top 5. Maybe the wind got him. Maybe just missed a kick. But if you give him those kicks again on that field, I trust Boswell to make almost automatic, anything 50 and under, even 55. That guy is unbelievable. So throw out the one miss, and I still think that we have the kicking edge in that situation. Now, I agree Houston's a better team. I don't think there's any disputing that. I have Houston number 7. I have Pittsburgh number 15. I have Houston 3 full points better, but it's not 3 on a neutral field on Monday night. And I'm giving Pittsburgh 2 points for home field. I make the line 1. At 3.5, I would absolutely take Pittsburgh as a contest potential type of pick. Yeah. At 3, I would still lean Pittsburgh because of all the field goals. I think the 3 could come into play. So whether we're getting a team that's going to win by 1, 2, or 3, we're going to push at worst. I think this game is like 20-19, 17-16, something back and forth like we saw tonight until the crazy finish. I think we're going to see something like that. 13-10, 16-13, 17-16, something in that ballpark. And my gut tells me, for some reason, like I thought last week, I really thought last week the Ravens would win by like 1 or 2, and they were almost about to win by 1 or 2. But my gut tells me I think Pittsburgh's going to win this game. I don't know why. I don't like it. I wouldn't bet Pittsburgh to win, but if I'm getting 3 or 3.5 points, I'm taking the 3.5 or 3 because I think this game is going to be really low scoring, really close, drag it out drives. I don't think either team is going to move the ball with regularity. So give me the 3, and maybe Pittsburgh wins altogether.
Pressure rates. Pittsburgh is 8th in the NFL. Houston is 3rd.
Yeah, so this bodes well for neither team moving the ball with consistency.
Right.
Now, Ramsey was awful in that game. And Pittsburgh was better when Kyle Hamilton went out. Well documented. So I don't know that Pittsburgh's throwing the ball downfield in this game. And maybe Stroud has enough time to get the ball and cause Ramsey to make a mistake. But if both teams are getting to the quarterback, I think this game is going to be a slugfest. It's going to be disgusting.
Yeah.
Ugly, disgusting, 16-13 game.
Yeah, I agree, and I do trust Boswell more than Fairbairn in the elements. You mentioned the miss he had against the Browns. Apparently, he has a horrible history in that stadium, in the Cleveland Stadium. So maybe it was just that, and maybe that's why the Browns own the Steelers in Cleveland. Yeah.
Or maybe anyway. The NFL and the refs wanted it to be a meaningful game on week 18.
Yeah, I guess so. And given that, maybe they made sure the Steelers would win. I don't know. Nothing was like overly blatant, but still, if they do screw the team over, maybe they give them one back at the end. I don't know how that factors in. Maybe if get a Tim Donaghy type of NFL ref who has a revealed all sort of book, tell all book, then we'll know eventually. But I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath for that.
Speaking of Tim Donaghy type of ref, then I sent you before that the ref of the Niners-Eagles game is a big Eagles fan.
He is.
What the hell is that all about?
He is what, 8-1? The Eagles are 8-1.
The Eagles are 8-1 when the guy refs the games. Niners are 3-6 when he refs the games, and he grew up in Philly as an Eagles fan.
Yeah,
he's a well-documented fan of a team. I'm not suggesting there's anything not kosher about it. Maybe he's a very honest individual and he refs games and he's a fantastic NFL ref. But just by default, like there's a human element behind there. Why would you put a known Eagles fan from Philly in Philly reffing an Eagles playoff game? That makes no sense, NFL.
Yeah.
Put him in a different game.
I know.
Put him in the AFC. That's so utterly ridiculous. But whatever. The Niners are not going to win and lose because of the ref. They're going to win and lose because they're just outmatched.
That's true. We'll have to have AI refs at some point. We will. It's just a matter of time. Although the NFL is like they finally went to like a virtual measurement like 20 years after they could have. So they do drag their feet with this sort of thing.
I love that there's no challenges anymore, and everything is like a replay
Yeah.
assist has decided, and then there's a challenge of the replay assist, and you got it right. Like replay assist puts the ball on the 5 instead of the 2,
Yeah.
but they can't figure the easy stuff out. It's like we're still living in the Stone Age here. So eventually everything's going to be purely AI, purely computer chip, no challenge flags. Oh, yeah, there was a face mask on that play. We're going to give it to him. No, well, we see the face mask, but we're not allowed to change the rule. And by the way, it was PI also. It's like, what are we talking about here? So it sounds like we're on the same side of 4 out of 6 of the games, barring, the toss-up nature of Bears-Packers and your uncertainty with Allen's foot.
Yes, and I agree. Like, if you tell me Allen's healthy, and then I agree with you on that one. So really, it's the only disagreement we had is our lowest confidence pick. So I trust that that's a good omen. And I think Andy and I agreed on I think 4 of 6 yesterday. I think, but they may have been different games. I know Andy liked the Rams, and I know he liked the Chargers. I like the Eagles. I think he said it was leaning Texans, but he didn't finalize. And I don't know if you finalize your picks, because you said you're still deciding on this one. So I think it's a good sign that we're kind of on the same page on most of these games. So hopefully that turns into some good bets and some great live bets as well. And
yeah, the live bets where it's at. Now you asked me before about Survivor, and I think the Rams Eagles is the championship game, theoretically, whenever that game happens, if it happens next week or the week after. So I don't know who I would pick in that game. I have said to you throughout the season that I think the Rams are not as good as you have them. Now, I still have the Rams number 1 in the league, reluctantly, because I'm not going to deduct points because offensive line injuries and Devontae not being there, I think obviously matters. But I think this team is flawed. The problem is everybody's flawed.
Right.
So I still have the Eagles. I still have the Rams number 1. But I do not think the Rams are as good this year as the top 5 teams were last year. I think the Rams this year are better than better than the Rams were last year, and they were very close in that divisional playoff game. Was that the wild card game, or was that the divisional playoff game?
It was divisional.
In the snow, almost coming back and winning that game. They were very close to doing that. I think the Rams are better this year than they were last year, but I don't have them highly power rated this year as I had the Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Ravens, or Bills last year. So this year's Rams, to me, the best team in the league this year, would be number 6 last year. I think Rams Eagles, which I'm looking at the advanced line potentially, would be in Philly, Rams -1.5. My line in that game is probably Eagles -1. Call it a toss-up. And weather related, I would probably lean to the Eagles in that game now. But I think that game is as toss-up as it gets, and I don't know who I would pick as a survivor, because you'd want to save the team that you think is going to lose theoretically, or win that game to save this week. Right. So I think it's really as toss-up as it gets. Eagles not as good as they were last year, for sure. The Eagles and the Rams this year are not as good as the Eagles last year either. The Eagles were the best team in the league last year. From a power rating perspective, I would make last year's Eagles team a 3.5-point favorite over this year's Eagles team. So I think the Eagles last year are significantly better. 3.5 is a huge number in a power rating. I have the Eagles much better last year than this year. And that's because this year their offense is asleep. Maybe a lot of that has to do with Lane Johnson. He's not in the lineup. Their offense is not as good. But I think their defense is just as good. And therefore, I think them and the Rams are very close. I think the Rams are about 1.5 better. But if the game's in Philly, I would make the Eagles as a very, very, very short 1-point favorite.
Okay, the Rams are -1.5 in Philly. I find it hilarious that there are no hypotheticals with the Panthers. Just
I didn't even realize that.
I know they're not even here. So that's great. They do have the Steelers, but they don't have the Panthers. So.
Well, the matchup to bet now for next week.
Okay.
I'm going through it. Let me see. Your top of it looks the same as mine. Green Bay, so we're not in the same order. Rams Seahawks, I wouldn't bet right now. I see my line number has Seahawks 1.5. I like the Rams in that game, but I wouldn't bet it. I wouldn't bet it now. There's no reason to bet it now.
Right.
Eagles Bears. I like the Eagles in a rematch. If that game happened, I think that would be That would be a lot of, hey, they pulled the pants down and smacked you last time. So we need to man up and not let the Bears run for 300 yards in that game. But again, I don't see any reason why I would bet it now. Now, how does that line move? Well, if the Eagles win by 2 touchdowns and the Bears eke out a 21-20 win, maybe that line climbs to 3.
Yeah.
But I don't see any real motivation for me to lay that today at 2.5. It's not like we're getting a line like we got last week where it's a complete mistake. Now, where would I make that line? I'm just curious. My line here would be 6, 5, 3. I would make the line right now. I would make Eagles -3 in Chicago. So I don't think there's a huge value there. Bills, Texans, I wouldn't bet right now. Basically a pick 'em price. Seahawks, Niners, I wouldn't bet right now. I don't see any reason to do that because if the Niners do win and they get guys back, they'll be power rated a little bit better. So I wouldn't bet that line today. Chargers, Broncos, I would take the Chargers +3 because I think the Chargers are a live dog the same way they're a live dog this week.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't see any real reason to bet it unless you think that, hey, if they win, their power rating goes up and therefore maybe that line's 2.5. Right now, 2.5 and 1.5, I would make the Broncos like a 1-point favorite. So 3 might be some value. So maybe I take a little something on the Chargers +3 because if they win, they're going straight to Denver.
Yeah.
And maybe that line comes shorter than 3. So maybe I'll take the 3 now just to put a little 3 in your pocket. Pats, Jacksonville's basically pick and price. There's no value. Rams, Eagles, we already discussed. Steelers, Broncos, I have no interest. Although I like the Steelers +4.5 in Denver. I think that line's a little heavy.
I agree.
But again, I don't see any real reason to bet it now because I don't think that line will move that much. I think you'll still get some value in Pittsburgh. And if Pittsburgh looks like crap and just wins like a 16-13 game where their offense doesn't work, maybe the line comes heavier. I think the markets are too strong on Denver anyway, but I wouldn't bet that in advance. Pats, Steelers, I wouldn't bet in advance. Niners, Rams 7. I wouldn't bet that in advance. That's too big. That's a very big number. Because again, if the Niners advance and end up playing the Rams down the road at some point, can the Niners play the Rams this week? Theoretically, if the Packers win.
Packers go out Seattle, and then the Niners go.
If the Niners beat the Eagles and get Warner back and get Trent back, 7 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm not betting that.
Right.
Here's what you're betting now. Oh, wait, 1 second. Texans, Broncos, I wouldn't bet. You got to bet right now Bills, Broncos.
Bills, Broncos. That's
right
exactly what I thought.
-120. I wouldn't bet the 1.5. For 10 cents. For 10 cents, give me the pick. Okay. That is insane. Yeah. If the Bills win, and the Bills as a road team win, now, presumably, the power rating goes up. Let's say the power rating stays equal. I would make, on a neutral field, I have Buffalo 6 points better than Denver. I do give Denver 2. That makes the line 4. 4 becomes 3.5. How is that line not at least 3?
Yeah.
And Buffalo -20? Ludicrous. Buffalo loses, you get your money back. Buffalo wins, you're going to feel very good about, unless Allen wins and is hobbling around and he can't move and he's really playing on a sprained bad foot. All things being considered, if they win the game and he comes out of that game the same health that he is going in, that is an insane line, Buffalo -120. We both know that Jacksonville should be better than Denver. They just killed Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me that Buffalo is going to be the exact same spread. If they beat Jacksonville, they're going to be the same spread in Denver? How?
Yeah, makes no sense. Makes no sense. Yeah.
Denver doesn't have a run game. Denver's run game is not going to take advantage of Buffalo's defense. And Allen can move around and escape the pressure.
Yeah.
Although he doesn't against Houston.
Denver can even run on the Charger backups.
You have to bet Buffalo -20 right now. We might be in a situation next week where we say the same thing we're saying this week. Buffalo's -2.5, -3, and the money line is -160. And if you don't like it, scalp it.
What do you mean by scalp it?
Scalp it, meaning if you get -120 and you could play back Denver +140.
All right. Okay.
You could scalp it and lock in a profit.
Right. Yeah. You could definitely do that. Denver couldn't even run on the Charger backups last week. So yeah, you're right. They're not going to
have to bet the -120. That's really the only line because the rest of the line, Texans, Jaguars, same as it is regular season. It's a 2.5 point line, makes sense.
Yeah.
Texans, Pats, makes sense. Rams Bears makes sense. Green Bay Seattle is a little light. I don't think Green Bay can go into Seattle and win. That's a tough game.
Yeah.
But I don't want to lay 3.5. Not interested.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in laying 3.5, and I don't want to lay a minus 200 money line. There are better ways to bet these games. You have to go in right now. Buffalo minus 120 for next week.
I agree. It seems it's like a great line. I have them with a greater disparity. I have Buffalo 7 points better than Denver, so I'm even that even looks better to me than it does to you. So based on my numbers, so yeah,
I just bet it. So I
okay.
wonder if that line moves.
Oh man! All right. Well, I will be betting it too, and I recommend everyone betting it. So if these games don't happen, you just lose. You're getting your money back. You get your money back. You don't like no one would bet them if you just lost like your money, you know.
Right.
So
no, you don't lose. You don't lose. Yeah, you get your money back.
Yeah. It says void.
You just have to have. Listen, you're tying up money for a week. So for somebody who's putting a certain amount of money into FanDuel for this week's action, you're burning some of your credit line.
Right.
And you can't really expect everybody to have FanDuel as like a bank account, right? But if you had extra money in FanDuel that you're not looking to use this week, just go throw a nice fat bet on minus 120, knowing with certainty that if they win, as long as Allen's not hurt, that's the only risk you're taking is that Allen's hurt.
Yep.
So last week when we bet the Eagles were already resting everybody. So we knew that they were resting except for Devontae Smith. I didn't know he was resting, but that's fine.
You just wanted
once they're resting everybody, you know they're going in. Now, unless there's the flu bug, the only thing you're risking here is Allen's health in this game.
Yeah.
But if he's not healthy and they lose, then you get your money back. But if they somehow win and he gets hurt late in the game, okay, so now, I'm not telling you to go crazy and bet your whole life savings on a game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's void if the game doesn't take place. Yeah, but Heat Bulls were scratched tonight. So yeah, well, unfortunately, if you play them in DraftKings, then you lost probably tonight. Which I made $10 tonight DraftKings with my lineup because Bulls Heat didn't take place. So my crappy lineup cashed min cash. So it was a lot of fun.
Don't forget the last thing, and I don't think we have time to really go through each game because it's probably not worth it. But everybody can go through each game. You can open up any game for this week, and just take a random game, for example. Go into like the Bills game, for example, because that's a fun one.
Okay.
You go into SGP. You're already there. You're good. Scroll down. You have all passing yards. Go up.
For Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, all passing yards. Pop in like 200. Just nice and simple. I'm not telling you to go crazy. 225, nice 200. Allen, maybe Allen go to 175. You're way high. There it is. 175. Maybe go to like James Cook. Give me like 50 yards rushing. That's the rushing yards a little bit further down.
James Cook rushing yards 50 minus
50 minus 600. Nothing crazy. If you want to go on top, the menu is probably easier to navigate. You can go to Allen rushing, Lawrence rushing, give me like a Josh Allen 10 or 15 yards rushing. You want to go on top on the menu? You can slide across the top instead of on SGP.
It is 15 plus. It doesn't
15, yeah, minus 1200. Beautiful. It just took you from minus 103 to plus 120. Go to Lawrence. Do the same thing, 15 yards.
15, that's plus 187.
Yep. And maybe like Jacoby Myers, 30 yards receiving. Something silly, something easy. Quote unquote easy. Nothing's easy.
That's true. The player goes down, you're screwed.
I mean, you can go crazy. Minus 440. All right, so now you have that, right? And let's just use one more game as an example. And I'm telling you can do this with every game, right? So I'm not telling you to take plus 239. Now you get out of this, go into a different game. Let's say you go to Rams. Just go to Stafford 225 passing. And maybe Puka 60 or 70 receiving. Whatever you like. But beautiful. All right, that's it.
You go Adams.
This is not, so you're at minus 157. This is not a separate bet. This is the same bet. This is just more legs to the parlay overall.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where if you canceled that because your bet slip now is only 2. Did you save?
Oh! You wanted me to keep those? Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you wanted. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay,
Did you save it or did you get out of it?
I got out of it. We could just do that right. So,
It's easier if
175.
you just go across the top and just click passing, receiving.
I know.
I just want to see basically what the overall, because we said it was like a plus 239. I mean, you could throw in anybody. You could throw in James Cook, 10 yards receiving, Khalil Shakir, 10 yards receiving. As you add these legs, like with easy, manageable, not guarantees, right? But you're getting minus 1,200, minus 600, minus 400. Look what the odds are going to look like. You're going to end up building a bet with like 3 or 4 legs per game, right? That are relatively manageable. That's going to end up paying out 20 to 1, 15 to 1, 20 to 1. This is what we decided to kind of come full circle on the show. If your bet is $50, make it 25 and 25. Maybe one of them gets a boost, right? Maybe you get a 50% boost. Don't use 50% or 30% or 20% boosts on even money bets. Makes no sense. Use the 20% boosts on this or on the ladders that we give you when we're giving you like a plus 800. You don't use 20% boosts at plus 200.
Yeah.
You use a 20% boost at plus 1,000. That brings you a real value. And then cut the bet in half, 25 and 25, 20 and 20, 10 and 10, whatever you like to do, cut it in half. So after Sunday night, as you go into the Monday night, by the way, there's not much to bet in the Monday night game.
That's true.
So maybe you go Drake May, 10 yards rushing, 175 yards passing, Herbert, 10 yards rushing, 75 yards, 225 or 200 passing. I would go to like 175. Yeah, 175. Herbert, May, same idea. Maybe 175 or 200, whatever you like. Doesn't matter. Either one. Give me May and Herbert. Give me 10 yards rushing. Maybe 15 for May. Something like 10 is good. I don't mind. I don't mind going to 10. Herbert, same thing. Give me 10 or 15, either one. With all these very manageable legs, now you say, "Oh, we're getting too crazy."
Yeah.
But we're at 9 to 1, 10 to 1. And there's a couple more things that you can add in this. And this is where at some point you might get a cash out option late in the day.
Right.
I wouldn't throw Hurts in here. I think there's too much variance in some of these guys, and you got to factor weather in. We didn't talk about, I mean, again, Caleb Williams, 150 yards passing or 175 with 10 yards rushing. Maybe you throw in a DeAndre Swift or Jacobs, 40 yards rushing.
We talked about the Chicago offensive line. So the Chicago runners make sense.
Right. I wouldn't do any Green Bay props in there. I don't like any Green Bay.
Right.
Swift 40, Monungai maybe 25.
20.
20. Okay, good. I would do passing. I would do Williams, maybe like 150 passing.
150.
We're almost 20 to 1 right there. And no, I don't want any Jordan Love.
Okay.
And I don't like receivers because receivers are way too variance unless it's Puka.
Right.
I only want like my absolute number one stud receiver who's getting massive target share. I don't want any Packer guys.
You don't want Jacobs?
Nah, because game script. I don't want any Packers.
Okay.
I would take Caleb rushing maybe 10 yards.
Okay. There he is. 10 yards. Okay.
10's good. You just got to 21. And I don't think you put Stafford in there yet, but whatever. Stafford and Puka are 2 guys that I would put in there too.
I think I have Stafford in there. Yeah, Stafford and Puka I have.
Okay. That right there, my friend, is a great wager. Now, every pro who's looking at this right now is saying this is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it looks good.
I'll tell you this much. I win money on this all the time.
The downside is
the downside is somebody getting hurt.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like who gets hurt here? Like James Cook goes down with a bum ankle and then loses.
I didn't tell you to put 2,500 on it.
Yeah.
See, for me, I would put 100 on this twice. One with a boost, one without. Okay. So I take two bets for $100 each, or $50 each, for 2,000, for 4,000, whatever. And as I'm nearing the end of this, and by the way, I'm doing this over and over and over again with various tweaks to the yardage. Some a little bit heavier, some a little bit lighter. Take out a player or two, just so I don't have the same risk across the board. Maybe one player gets hurt, kind of screws your bet up.
Yeah.
No reason to go crazy, but there's 6 games. There's a lot of players that you could throw into the mix here. You could take the quarterbacks out. Sometimes I'll do one with just quarterback passing, some with just quarterback rushing. Just different variations of these SGPs with manageable, very achievable numbers that build equity as you play through some of these games. It's not and here's what I want you to ask yourself. If I came to you and said, I'm going to put this together, and you're booking the action, you're booking me. Mm-hmm. Are you laying 2,100 right now for me to lose this bet?
I wouldn't want to pay you out.
That's what I'm asking you. Would you want to be the house on that wager?
No.
Right.
No, I wouldn't.
But if you're betting on any of these games straight, I would book your action at plus 110 pretty much across the board, except for
Right.
You're giving me plus 110. You're allowing me to be the casino. I get to be the house. I'm going to book a parlay. I'm going to book a teaser with some with some minus 135. I don't care what the numbers are. I'm going to get plus 135 on a two-leg teaser where the numbers are not really key numbers. I'm booking that blindly. But I'm not putting up 458,000 to win $10.
Right.
You could find, because there's so many legs here, it becomes mispriced. Why is this 22 to 1? You're telling me this can't happen 2% of the time? So that's what it is. Sorry, 5% of the time.
Yeah.
This can't happen 5 out of 100 times. This bet doesn't hit 5%. I beg to differ.
Yeah, I agree. The bonus to this too is that you throw off the algorithm on these sports books, and they're like, oh, this guy's betting 16.
By the way, that's why I started doing this in the NBA playoffs a couple of years ago. I started throwing these dumb SGPs in with manageable Giannis to get 15 points and Jokic to get 6 rebounds.
Yep.
And you get 20 player props across 6 games. And honestly, there were a couple times that I won, and I didn't even know that I won. I would take it while I'm at a red light or sitting in traffic. I don't even know who's in my bet, but I know I'm going bananas on live player props or hedging teams that are behind, and I just got to throw some camouflage at halftime and take like a 8-player prop SGP just so FanDuel thinks that I'm a square prop player parlay guy. And all of a sudden I throw $50. I'm like, why is my account off by $2,600? Oh shit, I won $2,600 tonight. It's pretty cool. There was one time I won. It was last year. I won a bet on a game that went to overtime or a buzzer beater of some sort. I had no idea that I won. And I said to my son afterwards, I'm like, that would have been so exciting to win on that buzzer shot had I known that I actually needed an overtime to win this bet or something. So, but these are not bad bets. Now, if you start throwing these in with 300 yards or 100 yards and unlikely events, you're probably not going to win.
Right.
But you start throwing out the 15 yards, 50 yards, 60 yards, whatever, it makes it much more reasonable. And like I said, not a single person who's looking at this right now is thinking, you know what, I would put up 2,100 for 100. No, you wouldn't. That's a lie. And therefore, play $20, play $30, play $50. Try to win $50 wins $1,000 on this bet.
Yeah.
And all it's got to do is hit 5%. If we take this bet 100 times, you got to hit 5 of them to be profitable.
Yeah. I think it hits better than 5%. So.
I think it hits better than 15%.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to hit 30%? Probably not. But is it going to hit 15 to 20%? I think so.
Yeah. I think you're right. So
anyway, that's what I play around with. I like this. I like these a lot better than going into a game and saying, you know what, I really like Houston -3 or Pittsburgh +3. Flip a coin, man. I mean, That is a tough game to handicap. I'd rather bet that game live all day of the week, all day.
Yeah.
Most of these games, I'd rather bet live. So I'm going into this week. We have a great bet on Eagles -130, Eagles -2.5. After that, everything else is going to be live player props, teasers, or in-game team totals, over-unders, spreads when you're getting value. No reason for me otherwise to put 1, 2, 3, or 5 units when I'm going to bet 50 units on a game starting at halftime.
Yeah. Can't wait for those live bets.
We got a lot of ladders that we're going to be looking for, but you know what? We cannot force it. Just because it's a standalone game, there's 6 games. If the opportunity does not present itself, the number one thing you need to do if you're betting these games is maintain discipline. Nothing is a guarantee. There's no reason to force it. If it's not there, it's not there.
Yeah, that's
just watch the game and enjoy the football game and pick a team to root for, and that's that. But you can't force just because, Stafford's playing well, therefore we have to ladder Stafford. No, we don't have to do anything. We could sit back and relax and just not take a bet on the game.
Yep.
We don't have to bet the game.
Yep, that's definitely true. That discipline is certainly key. So you can make a lot of bad bets when you're not disciplined.
Yep. Especially when you're live betting. You can make a lot of bad bets. You can make a lot of stupid bets. You can chase till you're blue in the face. I tell people all the time, there's 3 things you need. You start with discipline. If you don't have discipline, you cannot win.
Yep.
You simply cannot win. Then you have to understand the math, and then you have to know football.
Right.
I know a lot of people who know a lot of football, and I know a lot of people who know football and know math and odds, but they have no discipline. And those people get burned and lose a fortune. And then they play on credit with bookies, and it becomes an absolute disaster. FanDuel, at least you got to put money into the accounts. You can't lose what you don't have.
Right. That's true.
So, but you got to have discipline. Just because it's the playoffs does not mean you have to go crazy and bet it. There's always going to be opportunities. We got March Madness coming up. We got NBA playoffs coming up. You don't have to throw your bankroll at Rams Carolina and ruin your entire weekend because Carolina won because a bunch of fluky things happened in the rain. Right. So, maintain discipline, have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I guess that's about it for the show. Hope you guys got something out of it, and hope you guys do well with your bets. Upcoming, we'll have our live bets posted on X as usual, and we'll have updates on these picks on Saturday, of course, for Saturday notes, and then Sunday final thoughts and so on, as we usually do. So please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit walterfootball.com for tons of content, and we'll be back tomorrow. I assume Tom's gonna be on. He didn't tell me that he's not available, so Tom will be on. As you guys may know, that show gets a little wacky at times, but it's fun. We get to I get to coax Tom into a $5 million to 1 bet, $5 million to 1 odds, which I wish he would have took. I wouldn't have taken this $10, but anyway, that was it's a lot of fun. So we'll be back tomorrow night, and then otherwise we'll be back the rest next week with the usual schedule. So and I'll have a short video posted Saturday morning for updating for injuries and whatnot. So yeah, guys, I hope you have a great night, and I will talk to you